everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me as always, because he's the co-host that is a true hero who can jump in 3 minutes before our start time when Tom calls me and tells me that now he's having problems getting back to his hotel to do the show. Tom, you should have been back at the hotel 45 minutes ago. Bad planning. Prior planning prevents poor performance.
Unbelievable.
Tyler is a hero. And so has jumped in so we didn't have to, just me standing there doing the show alone.
I mean, we'd say we'd expect better from our friend, but I mean, who's kidding?
No.
We know what we're getting.
I expect nothing. And I am rarely let down. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about Soulblight Gravelords. But of course, first we've got some news. I won't be rude and just throw it over to you, Tyler, since you...
I appreciate it, yeah.
When I say 3 minutes before the show starts, that's not an exaggeration. I called Tyler at like 8:57.
Paintbrush in my mouth. I'm painting away here. Turned into a hobbyist. I don't know what the hell's happening to me these last couple of months.
First of all, it's fantastic to hear, and I support it 100%.
I got models everywhere. I got Blight Kings. I got Nurglings. Basing is happening, and it's going to keep happening because I got to get this done tonight.
I love it. You got a tournament coming up this weekend?
I do. Yeah, Colorado, Team GT. So,
very nice.
Yep, it's all happening.
Love it. Love it. You're truly a hobbyist now. The last minute painting before an event. Oh, you're into it. All right, let's talk about some news. First off, we've got a rumor engine. It's up on the screen right now. It's obviously a 40K thing, and I obviously don't care. There we go. It's not relevant to us. It looks like a AdMechie type thing, but
okay. I hadn't looked at it this week.
Yeah, it looks neat. It's a neat little gizmo gadget, but of no interest for this particular thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's on the Orc cars. Okay, cool. I could see that too. All right. And then only other real news item we have is this weekend, big Warhammer Fest coming up over in the UK. And we've got a lot of previews. Saturday, we've got the Warcry and Underworlds previews, which I have to say, I'm kind of interested in what comes out of the 40K 10th edition preview as well. Yeah. I'm wondering what kind of an insight we're going to draw from this for 4th edition AOS, right?
Sure.
I think, 100%. One of the things they talked about was the whole combat patrols being like a buy it, play it. They're all meant to fight against each other, evenly balanced, slightly altered, simplified rules, so they all work against each other, like a commander experience, like your thing in a box that is a playable game with a combat patrol, whatever it's called, that level. Mm-hmm. That feels like something that's got to happen in AOS as well, right?
Yeah, it feels automatic, definitely.
Yeah. So hey, cool, great. I make the game actually, playable at whatever points those boxes represent. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe we'll get maybe they've confirmed this, the free rolls. I heard that 40K 10th is going to have free rolls, so maybe that'll go online a little advance of the actual release. That'd be cool.
We'll see. That is the story. Yes, all the rules are going to be free. Like all the indices and all of that will be free. You can also go buy the books if you want to own the books. So
yeah. Give us some clues.
Absolutely. And then Sunday, I hate that this Saturday, Sunday, Monday thing, it's like this bank holiday weekend thing. Like, it's not a holiday here, obviously. It's just in the States. No, that's an excuse. You can have whatever holidays you want in the UK. I just mean, it's a shame that some part of this is still happening when it's going to feel like the week is back beginning for us. But at noon on Sunday is when we get the AOS preview. So 7 a.m. my time. Will not be doing a show live for that. There ain't no way I'm getting up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. So
yeah, I'm good.
That don't happen around these parts. And then 2 hours later, you got the Old World show. So
very good.
Cool.
When you get a sec, dude, could you send me the presentation? Or did you put together a presentation?
I sure did, and I sure can. So you have everything. Yeah, I'll do that here in the background as we're talking.
That way I don't have a delay and everything.
Yeah, of course. No, it makes perfect sense. And that's basically the news, by the by.
Yeah?
It's pretty straightforward. There's not really that much else going on there.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's pretty straightforward. But hey, I'm looking forward to seeing. It's more like the big news is this weekend because hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get some cool stuff. Like we're really
What?
gonna finally see what's past. I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah. Like, what could we
I
see?
I
Dawnbringer
just mean we've
Crusades?
been stuck on knowing Seraphon is like
Right.
the edge for a
Yeah.
while, and we don't really have much line of sight right now past that. And hey, spoilers, Seraphon's on pre-order right now. It's, we'd
Yeah.
normally be doing the Seraphon show this week if we weren't so backed up on books, right?
Yeah. Totally.
So like what's next? I mean, we know the world's going to get blocked up by 10th edition. It's going to that's it.
Right. Right.
It'll be interesting.
And Flesh Eater Quartz and Dawnbringer Crusade / News of Sigmar. I mean, those are our last two battle tomes, I think. And then everything else we're through at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, so other than that, maybe a narrative book. But yeah, those
Yeah,
those are kind of the three obvious things, maybe.
Yeah,
Beyond
they
that,
have
I
like the
have no clue.
mystery book in the summer, remember? Because they've said like
Right.
GHB and this and then the mystery book, and it's like, okay, cool. So Season of
Yeah.
War Part 2, but like, will we actually see what the Season of War is? I would assume, and probably get another narrative thing. Does that mean
Yeah.
we'll also get another Incarnate?
Of course.
Probably so.
And I'm sure it'll be just fine, like the last events. It'll all work out. Another universal model that all of us want and need.
Of course, absolutely. that we all 3D print. I can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. That's not the question. The real question is how do they release this one? Okay,
Oh,
because
yeah,
that was the problem. It was that last time we had the model, but the
Yeah.
model came in like a $200 terrain box.
yeah. Sure.
Right? Can I just go buy the thing this time? Because if it's just like a $40 incarnate model or whatever that I can
Right.
go buy,
Right.
very different story than if I have to go buy a $200 terrain box, right? So, okay, but we'll see.
Yeah. Kind of over some of these boxes, but
Sure,
yeah,
I understand.
we will.
It could be a bit much. All right, well, in record time, because they're like I said, we're kind of in a holding pattern.
Not even 15, and we were late. We were like 7 minutes late too. Amazing.
I know. Let's go to some pick of the week.
Oh Lord. I mean, I could do a mainstay. Shout
Well,
out the classics.
you
What
can-
could you got one for me?
I put 2 links in there just
Okay.
in case.
Excellent.
I foresaw the future. So there's already 2 links down below. So Tyler, how about I'll give the 2 I put down, then you can claim one of them if you want. How's that work?
Sounds good.
All right, first up, we've got AOS Coach with the Soulblight Gravelords first look. I believe 1 of 2. He's doing this is with Mr. Alex Gonzalez. So you can go check that out. That is linked down in the description. Give that a watch if you just can't get enough undeady goodness. And then also, Stuart, the Iron Gutsman, did a very fun review of every unit in the Khorne Battletome. Right,
I'm claiming
Doing
that
a
one. I watched a little bit of that one. Yeah.
classic tier list. You gotta love it. I agree with most of Stuart's opinions. Is my honest answer. He's got a great take on things. I think there's a few places I diverged with him on what he thought units were good or bad, but for the most part, I'm pretty in line with what he said.
Murder Lust. He probably thought Murder Lust the most balanced thing in that Battletome, and one of the more balanced things in the game.
He was
right
like,
now.
he obviously said it's bent sideways, right? So
I had
we all-
modest concern. I mean, I know I was a little salty on that show because apparently that's what I do when Konstantinos is on. That's
Sure.
that's the pattern that we're in every time he's on.
you got to pH balance the show, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like modest concern in that show, I took so much crap locally and online for just a little bit of a little bit. I don't think I was over the top crazy about
Not
corn.
at all.
We just had
First
like
of all,
4 or 5 O's practically over the weekend with corn.
yeah, I mean, you do you. I stand behind what I said with Khorne, and I think we're going to see it manifested in the overall stats.
Yeah.
Which is that the new Khorne book will allow a lot of players to play Khorne middlingly well,
Yeah.
and it will, you know what I mean, like and have fun. Okay, and it will allow a small cadre of highly skilled players to play Khorne exceptionally well.
Yeah, to go wild.
Right, like it is truly an amazing book in the width of its skill
Yeah.
tolerance. Sort of its skill floor to skill ceiling is one of the widest I've seen,
Yeah.
which is impressive and cool and fun. It's neat that they hit that.
Yeah,
All right, cool. So there we go. There's some pick of the weeks. Check them out. Oh,
Sweet.
Hugo is saying also shout out Season of War. Well, don't worry. We're going to shout out Season of War in a big way next week, so don't you worry about that. For
Yeah.
sure.
Two guests next week.
2 guests. Next week will be a double guest show because we got to bring in everybody. We've got to coalesce everyone from the spaceship for the Seraphon. Okay. Alrighty, righty, Rain.
I'm supposed to be painting while we're doing this, so
good luck with that.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'm sure that works out.
Okay. Now, let's talk about some. Speaking of, let's talk about some hobby time.
Sure.
Now that you remembered you're supposed to be painting, let's talk about some hobby time. Tyler, what you working on, buddy?
I am finishing up the last stages, my friend. Doing bases right now, so they're turning out well. I'm happy with them. I've got the brown going because everybody knows the way you paint rims is with a brown color. You've been on that train for years, repping it. It's the best color for bases. So I'm just following in your footsteps.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're wrong, but like I said to you when you were, Tyler sent me a photo of some models he was working on, and I said, "Looks great. I see no problems." And he said, "I don't understand." You know, like he was trying to trigger me with these a little bit of a raise out of me with these brown rimmed.
I even had the appropriate emoji too. Nothing.
Nothing.
Not throwing me a bone at all.
No, and I said, why would you get a raise out of me? I said, all new hobbyists make mistakes in their journeys. That's what happens. You don't ever come after them for it. You let them make the mistakes. Yeah. I am very much a person who believes that the best way to learn not to stick your finger in a light socket is to have somebody stick their finger in a light socket one time. And so that's fine. This is just a standard growth moment for you, Tyler, and I'm excited about it. Painting is better than not painting, even if it means you make wrong choices. That's just it. That's what people don't get. When I say that, I really mean it. Even if you're making mistakes, it's still better than not painting.
Still love my brown rims. They're so pretty. Brown rims, everybody.
Hard pass. My project has been very fun this week. I'm actually this weekend. My wife is going out of town. And I'm going to have actually quite a bit of time to just sit here in the desk. This week has truly conspired against me to stop my painting. Here's what I'm working on. This is the Morrigan from Journeyman Miniatures. She is gorgeous, and this is some of the most fun I've ever had with skin tone in my life. So there will be a video on that. But I sat down and finally had some, I've just had an unbelievable week with work and everything else. And I sat down to paint today. And I was just getting into it, and the power went out in my house.
Oh, Lord.
And I was like, come on now. What is going on? No, they're just doing construction in my neighborhood, and every so often they just trip the line or whatever, and so it was out for an hour and a half. And I'm like, I can't. It's very hard to paint in my office down here when there's no lights on. You would, surprisingly. And I was just like, of course. But I still managed to get a lot of good time in her this week and more this weekend. So yeah, looking forward to it. She's coming along well. A lot of fun.
Nice seeing showing models off. That's a nice change. We're seeing models you're working on.
Yeah, man.
That's hopefully more of that.
Dude, I am so jazzed right now. Painting this figure has been so much fun. I really can't explain. I'm in such a happy place right now with my hobby. Just working on these minis. I've got a stack of things behind her I'm equally excited for that I just can't wait to paint. But I'm not rushing them. You know what I mean? I'm taking my time with them, just working parts of them for a long time, just hours and hours and hours. I spent a bunch of hours just going back and forth and working this cloak, just playing around with it, adding in different tones, playing with colors, glazing back and forth. And it's really fun. It's just fun to just work like that. Right. And not I'm just finding the way, using different colors than I normally would, just kind of letting the thing flow. And it's incredibly, I don't know, it's like cathartic in a way. After
Sure.
so long of painting toward like some specific purpose and in some specific style, trying to achieve
Right.
some specific goal, it's just unbelievably. It feels great. It just feels great. So yeah, hobby how you
That's
want. Have
amazing.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, my desire, doing something, the need to do it well, as you predicted, is fully kicking in with
mhm.
this painting thing. Because I just look at, oh God, I can do better than that. So yeah, you're going to be getting some phone calls from me soon, and probably a visit at some point this year, where you're gonna teach me some of the ways.
Thank God, finally.
I
I've
know,
been fighting to get you to come out here and hang out for a weekend for like 5
I know.
years.
Yeah,
Okay. I can't believe this is the thing that did it, but literally, you're welcome anytime, my dog. Get in the car after this show and drive. We'll hang out all
just
weekend. It'll
come
be
on
fun.
out. Yeah, yeah. If I
Yeah,
weren't gonna be in
exactly.
Colorado, I probably would.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
All
yeah,
right. I mean, Colorado, Ohio, they're basically right next to each other, right? It's
sure,
right
totally.
next door. Okay. Excellent. All right. With that, let's go ahead and flip the script on over
Yeah.
and get our main topic going. Let's talk about some SBG. Every time I say SBG, it sounds to me for some reason like a late '90s hip hop R&B group. Uh,
Sure. I
so
bet. Yeah.
I love the Soulblight Gravelords as a concept. I've been a fan of the undead since back in the '90s when they were
Yeah.
undead. It's always a cool army. This
Mm-hmm.
is one of the greatest pieces of art they've ever done, obviously.
Amazing. Yeah.
So let's talk about an overview here.
Yeah.
Okay, this book. Here's my read on it right now. Now, admittedly, I don't play this army anymore. I
Yeah.
I don't have a I have a Soulblight Gravelords army accidentally. I've been building. Like
Mm.
every so often, I just end up with models. Like people have just randomly given me SBG stuff, and so like I
Sure.
think I've got about 1,000 points now. I
Okay.
haven't looked at it in the new books points. So
Okay.
I guess I have like a Vanguard level or whatever that is, right?
Yeah. It's like some zombies, some skeletons,
Yeah,
some of the
exactly.
classics.
Some of
Yeah.
the heroes. I got like a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, that kind of thing.
That's
But and they're really fun, and I hope I accidentally finish the army. But there is a guy in my normal play group um who is like a pretty dyed in the wool Soulblight player. He alternates back between Soulblight and LRL.
mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, here's my read on it at a high level. It's a pretty strong book. Like I think this is going to be up near the top. I'm pretty famous for being
Interesting.
like, yeah, it'll be like
Okay.
52%. I think this one will be kissing the border. Okay.
Yeah, you were a little, well, Brendan and you were lower on OBR than I expected. Certainly than I think you said B or B plus tier.
Yeah.
Brendan fell around there. I said A tier, and we got a lot. This is not the OBR show, but we did get a lot of comments, right, about people were like, in no uncertain terms, you guys are a little crazy. This OBR book is going to be nuts.
Yeah,
And
I still stand behind what I said. And let me tell you why.
yeah,
Because I think the OBR book is like an automatic 3-0, but a 3x, but a very
hmm,
hard 5-0. Okay.
okay,
What I mean
yeah,
by that is, I think in any given tournament that those OBR go to, and like, or in your play group, if you play a
hmm,
certain number of armies, as I said in that show, it's a rock. If you
mm,
show up with scissors, you're smashed.
sure,
That's it.
yeah,
Okay. But I think OBR has like some massive Achilles heels, and there are certain armies that will just exploit the heck out of it,
mm,
right? And if that happens to be if your play group happens to be some of column A, then you'll just rule the field with OBR, and you'll be like, haha, this is the greatest army ever. I'm unbeatable.
yeah,
If your play group is mostly column B, like people who just poop mortal wounds in various and sundry ways, right, and have
right,
lots of like good ways to sort of pick and hit at the core pieces you need, like they can lift your harvester relatively easily, they can do those
yeah.
kinds of things if they've got that power projection.
I know,
Okay.
I know, I know a certain army that may be on the way that's really good at spamming mortal wounds. It turns out I got the pleasure of them yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Really,
Like maybe
really
something we're
good
going
at
to
it.
talk about next week.
Maybe a frog involved. Yeah, big old immortal frog. Yeah.
Could be.
Okay. Okay.
So that's my argument, right? I think it'll be
Yeah.
like a very winning book, but I think when you look at it, it won't top the charts constantly because there'll be enough people just like meeting their scissors, or sorry, meeting their paper and just getting their rock covered up, right?
Yeah. Do you see that comment? Last point on this. I'm getting distracted.
You're
That
fine.
I posted on our OBR show. Basically, I said something like, "I feel like the following could be true. We're in still the health, like increasingly the healthiest meta that we've ever been in. That is like, we've been in a healthy meta for some time, and it's getting healthier. You know,
Mhm.
most of the factions are going to be in the 55 to 45% win rate. Awesome. And at the same time, I fear that we're at a point of maybe almost unprecedented rock paper scissors in the game,
Sure.
so that at the micro level, that is the level of, you know, individual experiences with most of the player base, that there's going to be a lot of rough games happening
Yep.
because you're right, your scissors will get smashed by a rock. So that will be a show. Maybe we can talk about that at
It's
length once we get
absolutely a
these.
whole show in and of itself because here's the tricky part about like and again, I know that like the team doesn't like the dev team, the design team doesn't rely just on win rate. They have an extremely deep set of stats that they use for analysis. Okay.
Yeah.
But the problem with just relying on win rate or overreading win rate, I should say,
Mm,
right, is that if you could have a huge rock paper scissors meta where a bunch of people are just auto losing and a bunch of people are auto winning, and it would
mm,
filter down to that win rate, it would look correct. You
mm.
understand what I'm saying? Like it would just
Yeah.
naturally fall to that middle place, even though it would actually probably be a fairly unfun meta to play in,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be careful how much you overread win rate, right? Like the detail
Mm.
matters a lot.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
glad to see LLVs in the chat said I used to be relevant in this tier stat stuff, and I agree about the OBR. Hey, I'm glad to hear it, buddy. Hope you're doing well, sir. An absolute trailblazer
Mm.
in the stats world. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
so I think this is slightly stronger. I really do.
Okay.
Okay. I think SBG, it's not bent. I'm not saying that. Maybe there's some things in here that are bent. There's certainly a couple FAQs. We'll get to them. But
Mm,
it's got some options that are going to be really difficult to counter, right? And so which we'll see as we get into it.
Maybe you could say a little bit more at a high level why you think
Sure,
this is going to be
sure,
potentially
sure.
stronger.
So they have
Yeah.
like the recursion in this book is really strong,
Mm,
like really strong recursion. Okay, and that amount of model recursion uh can oftentimes be just like a really hard counter to some armies that have much more limited resources, right? If your
mm,
army's relying completely on trading, this army, much like what goblins can do, could just very easily outtrade you because they can just consistently replace all their units and
mhm,
heal all their units,
mm,
right? So like if you don't kill them, they heal. If you do kill them, they come back, right?
mm.
And in a couple very corner cases, they can even refill up over their size. So you can not only bring them back, but then start rebuilding.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Hmm.
Okay. Now that's not like, that's not the common, but it
Yeah.
exists. Okay. So that's the kind of thing, right? If you're an army where that's what you're relying on to win, like
Mm.
these guys are going to have tremendously good board presence and tremendously good recycling, rejuvenating, regenerating. And so there are some armies that's
Yeah.
just hard to beat. If you're talking about like I think of like a Doc,
Mm.
right? Doc is a fairly fragile army that has traditionally in many of its forms relied on like sending missiles at your most relevant piece, removing
Mm.
it and sacrificing their own piece, and just they come out on top. Right? In that
Mm.
trading game. They never last more than sort of one combat, right? But they always take
Yeah.
out their target. I just see somebody like Doc really struggling against this army.
Interesting. Yeah. One of our best players locally, Dan, he has played this army for a long time, and I've struggled against him over the years with Soulblight, him playing Soulblight. He always played it, and generally in the style you're talking about, where there's threats everywhere. It's a lot of units. He plays it really well. It was especially in that meta last season, right, when we
Yep.
had more average objectives on the table. which played into his play style. And then yeah, it was that round 4 and 5 that I would often struggle with because he was getting units back. Like,
Yep.
okay, 10 Graveguard coming back at the end of my turn. Now it's his turn. Now I've got 10 Graveguard, which can do a lot of work, even just 10 of them. That 20 coming back as 10. That anyway. So it was definitely a tricky army. The one I played 2 games against the new book so far, and the main thing that's standing out is the healing on the vampires, especially the dragons.
Yep.
I mean, that is really challenging to deal with, particularly if you're relying on doing damage in combat or kind of chip damage, right?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with Ramyan, who said Virko zombie spam is one way to go with this. 5-up ward, extra moves, and synergized units will trade any melee army to death. Yeah, that's one version of the thing I'm talking about. So, okay. Subfaction choice is really heavy in this book. Much like with the Slanesh book a little while back, we've got the same sort of thing here, where everything is sort of derivative and falling down from your subfaction choice. That's going to be determining a lot about what you can do, how your army acts, how it plays, your strategy, so on and so forth, right? It also shouldn't be understated here how powerful some of the named heroes have. Like we're gonna get into the named heroes, but like there's a lot of them, and they all belong to some subfaction, right? And I think in probably at least 3 of the cases, I'm not sure I would play the subfaction without taking the named hero.
Oh wow, yeah.
Okay.
So that's Vordry, Neferata, and Manfred, or maybe Belladama.
No, no. It's 3 out of the 5. Sorry, I'd say it that way.
Okay.
It is Nephi, Vordry, and Lukovai, because why not? If you're going to play Avangori, it exists.
Gotcha.
Like,
Sure.
you take her.
Yeah.
Like, but that, like, I think Belladama and, is super strong and good and stuff. But I think Manfred is the one you can skip, but we'll get into it.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I haven't played against him. Haven't looked at his new War Scroll. Obviously,
And
he used
that's
to be
not
great.
a judgment on that dude. He's got some, you'll see when we get there. Okay. Like,
cool.
he's
Yeah.
got some stuff. He doesn't feel as essential to their game plan as the other ones do.
Interesting.
Those. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Okay. So it's still a synergy focused army, but it also has some very heavy attrition elements as per what you'd expect with undead. Right. As I mentioned earlier, it's gonna, as you mentioned, it's gonna push for strong board presence rounds 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be very difficult. Yes, the new healing mechanic we've just settled on. Like, this is the way it works. It like started, I think, with the Slanesh book was the first time we saw it. The do a bunch of damage, heal up to heal all the wounds you deal, max at 6. Like, Glutos has that rule, and now everybody gets that. They just handed that out like candy in the past couple of books.
Freaking Trog Boss, man. Like, I was like, that's been a nightmare to deal with specifically the 4-up ward Trog Boss, of course. Thankfully, they're not all getting a 4-up ward artifact. But yeah, it's such a tricky mechanic. Yeah.
Yep. So, and so the that's we'll see how this plays out, but like, it's very much the nature of the army that they're going to be in control of a large area of the board, have a lot of forces throughout the game, and it's going to be difficult to unstick that stuff, especially in the current season. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Especially in the current season. Oh my goodness. Is it going to matter? This, like, right now. Okay. Cool. Let's talk Allegiance abilities.
Yeah.
This is a really great Neferata piece of art, by the way. I really love it. Like, I love the way that they capture the, like, ghostly energy inside of her mount. I think it just looks so cool.
Yeah. That's one of the older ones, I think. It kind of has that earlier AOS art style.
I know, right?
A little bit, but it is nice. Some of those feel like they don't hold up as well, but yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yep. Okay. Boom. All right. So we got to start talking about Endless Legions, as this is had a very big change since the last book. Like a couple big changes, if we're going to be honest about it, and 2 is fundamental to probably the game plan of most SPG armies, though not all. It's going to have a big presence, and I would guess most competitive armies. So here we go. At the end of the movement phase,
Yeah.
you can pick one friendly Soulblight Gravelords summonable unit that has been destroyed and roll a die. Add 1 to the roll if it is your movement phase. So you will do this, theoretically, assuming the game doesn't end earlier, 10 times in the game. Okay? Okay. If you pick a summonable unit, 5 times it will be on a 4+, and 5 times it will be on a 3+. Right? That's the easiest way to think about this. Okay? So, statistically, over the course of the game, you return basically 6 units. Assuming you got something killed right away. I don't know how you did that in turn 1 in that movement phase, right? Because like the top of 1, you're probably not returning anything, but that would be the average, right? So if we cancel this out, you're really actually a realistic average when mapped over the fact pattern of a game is more like you're returning about 4 units to the table mathematically. If you pick a summonable unit that is not a hero, on a 4+, a new replacement unit with half the models from the unit that was destroyed, rounding up, is added to your army. It must be set up wholly within 12 of a friendly hero or gravesite and more than 3 from all enemy units. And it cannot attempt a charge or make pile-in moves in the same turn. Very interesting restriction there.
Yeah.
So, now obviously, if it's the enemy turn, the only thing you're really, like, you stand them up, the enemy decides to charge them, right, whatever. Okay? They could do that, you just won't be able to pile in. So, you know, they could, which will give you a limitation, certainly as to how much crackback you're getting there, right? If it's your turn, obviously they can't get in the fight, which is unfortunate. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. So, each destroyed unit can only be replaced once, and just replacement units can't be themselves replaced. Okay.
And more than 3. Jesus.
Okay.
That's different.
So, if you pick a summonable hero, this is a big change, obviously, because those were 2 words that didn't go together in the last book, right? Now there are summonable heroes. Yeah. On a 4+, you can set up that hero wholly within 12 of a Gravelord's hero or a gravesite, more than 3 from all enemy units, and with 3 wounds allocated to it. That hero cannot attempt to charge or make a pile-in move in the same turn. You can't pick the same hero to benefit from this ability more than once per battle. Okay. So, we can both return some kind of heroes, that we don't know who that is at this moment, right? And we can return some number of units, right? And as I said, the sort of realistic number of these on average you would get in a game is 4 to 5. You roll a little better, maybe you get 1 more. You roll a little worse, maybe you get 1 less, right? That's sort of your standard deviation. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. What is a summonable thing? Well, Tyler, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look at the next slide. So, hey, thanks, Steve. I'm glad to hear that, buddy. Okay, summonable units. Summonable. These guys. Black Knights, Graveguard, Zombies, Dire Wolves, Fellbats, Skeletons, and the Sepulchral... That's Sepulchral? Got it. Got it in one. The Sepulchral Guard, which is the original Underworlds group. The very, very first, like, season 1 Underworlds.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The, like, 7 skeletons or whatever.
Oh, it feels like that's been forever ago.
And summonable heroes are Watch Captain Halgrim. How about that? Fun special character. That guy from Dark Village. Yes, he's from Curse City. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Dark City. Dark Village. Sorry. Yes. And then Kritza, the Rat Prince. Who, if you remember, had the, like, replacement mechanic before, but now that's just been shuffled off into this, up into the parent rule, right?
Gotcha.
And you have the White King, like, both on foot and on steed. So both of the skeletal White King heroes.
That might be really good.
And then the one that I thought was crazy, but I was excited to see it, was King Morlach Velmorn and his sons, like the sons of Velmorn, which is angry skeleton pointy man.
Yeah, yeah, good looking grave guards. The glow up grave guards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been wondering why I've been seeing these guys show up in so many lists. Okay, so here's at least reason number one why they might be showing up in a lot of lists. Cool.
Yes. And yes, this is happening at the end of the movement phase. Yes, there was a question about that. Yes, end of the movement phase. Okay. So that's what you can, those are your valid targets. And the reason I thought this was so important to map out, oh, there we go. Yes, the Vexed Village, the Hexed Hamlet. Yeah, perfect. The reason I thought this was so important to map out right now is because as we look at the rest of the book and think about those synergies, we'll constantly want to be thinking about this summonable reality, right? Of just regenning these units at half size. Because it should influence like how we think about their points. Because if you're buying 20 of them or 40 of them, realistically, you're buying 30 of them or 60 of them in actuality, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting an extra reinforcement for free. Almost. Like if you only buy them once and they show up at half, you get half a reinforcement, right?
4+. So we can summon back, that is, add one of the roll if here's your move phase. Okay, so you said it's on a 4-up base, and then it goes to a 3-up?
3-up in your own turn, yeah.
And then a 5-up. And what is it for heroes? Is it the same for heroes?
No, heroes are exactly the same. Yeah.
Heroes are exactly the same. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's pretty generous. Yeah.
Yep.
3-up on your own turn. Okay.
Yep. So like that's what I'm trying to think about. Like think about you have, if you buy 10 Black Knights or something, okay?
Yeah.
Then theoretically either they don't die, which is fine, and that's a good thing, right? Because then they lived and they were a functional unit the whole game, or you likely bought 15 Black Knights.
Yeah.
You with me
here? Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's interesting how that math starts working out, right?
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, 'cause I'm just thinking about the list that I played against, right? It's like 10 dire wolves, 20 skeletons, 20 zombies, maybe 20 graveguard, vampire lord and zombie dragon, Neferata, vampire lord on foot, maybe some others. Like they're running a lot of stuff in these lists. So, and now you're telling me this, which just for everybody's reference, I haven't looked at this book. Like I said, I played 2 games. That's mostly it. But I haven't looked at the book in detail. So yeah, that's potentially quite a lot more on top of that pretty good foundation.
Yep.
Cool.
So it also makes the White King and his buddy interesting because they were kind of like the really bad choices last book, and it makes them potentially more interesting when we come to them, just because they can show back up, right?
Yeah.
And they're a hero that could then, like in the next movement phase, allow, if they don't die, then you could restore off of them, right? Because remember, you have to be near a gravesite or a hero when you pop these models back on. Now that's quite generous, but like it's interesting that you can get the guys back that could then let you get other people back. Like that's a potential, right?
Yeah, that's neat.
So, it's also notable that you do have to pick the unit before you roll the die. This is a minor timing point, but it's important because it matters. I can't roll the die, see if I get it, and then say, okay, well now I'll use the hero. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that really? Well, anyway, I don't.
At the end of the movement phase, you're picking this thing, right?
Yeah.
Give me a second. I gotta fix something for Tom.
Cool.
Tom is apparently here. He's gonna inconvenience me further as I now have to do this.
I can go back to painting.
Oh no, it's fine. Here, we're gonna do this real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna just go ahead and grab this little Warhammer Fest thing. We're gonna put it right over here, while I grab this and bring this over here. We'll keep talking for a moment, but I need to do some channel background stuff.
He's not joining us. He's just having you do busy work.
Well, yes, exactly. Tom continues to, as always, be nothing but a pleasure. Okay. There. It's fixed, Tom. I don't know if he can hear me or not. I don't care. I'll text him in a second. All right, now let's come back. There we go. All right, we're back. There we go. Okay.
Tom, despite what you're doing to your friends tonight, congratulations, buddy. I'm not sure if if that's public news.
We can talk. We'll see. Yeah, I mean he put it on Facebook, so I assume. It's
okay, public. I figured. Yeah. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Hey, man.
Welcome back.
Man of the hour.
The worst.
Yeah.
Hi, friends.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Tom.
Congratulations, man.
We should all start by congratulating Tom. Tom got engaged over the weekend, basically. So there you go. I'm going to say that.
That's exciting.
You put it on Facebook, so I'm assuming it's public knowledge now.
I mean, it's a real thing that happened.
Yep.
Excellent.
So there you go. Okay. We were just talking about Endless Legions, Tom. So there you go. And we're still early on. And we're talking about all the summonable units, right? So I have the list here of all the summonable units.
I will be right back. I'll stay on, but I got to go get some paints. I'm not.
You go get your paints. It's fine.
Wow, listen to him. I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You missed it, Tom, but he's painting for a tournament this weekend. So
yeah,
full on,
that
Tom.
Checks out.
In lieu of sending Tom a gift to congratulate him for his engagement, just hit like or subscribe. There you go. That's all you got to do. It's that easy. He'll accept that happily. Okay. All right, great. So let's keep going. So this is all the summonable units.
Yep.
So let's keep that in mind as we talk about Black Knights, Graveguard Zombies, Direwolves, Fellbat Skeletons, the Sporkle Guard, Watch Captain Halgrim, Kritza, the White King, and the White King on Steed, and then King Morlack Velmorn. All right.
How about those summonable heroes?
Yeah, there's a big talk about that. Yeah, exactly. Like the summonable heroes thing, it's a big deal. Obviously, in the case of Kritza, it just replaced his existing mechanic. But for the rest of these people, it makes the things like the White King a lot more interesting. Right.
Well, you compare him now.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, you can. Well, yeah, we were just. Thank you. What an excellent segue, Tom. You showed up late, but you showed up with good segues. Because let's talk about the next ability in the Allegiance abilities, which is the Unquiet Dead. So after territories are determined, you can pick up to 2 points in your territory and 2 points anywhere on the battlefield outside your territory to be grave sites. Each grave site must be more than 1 inch from all terrain features and objectives. Yada yada, set up terrain features, roll off, that kind of thing. Cool. So you get these 4 points on the board, and those 4 points are going to be very relevant. Not just for, remember, that's where your people can pop back from, because it can be wholly within 12 of a hero or near a grave site. And as we'll see in just about 5 seconds, it's going to be relevant to the next ability as well, Deathly Invocation, right? So your grave sites still very much matter. Okay. During deployment, instead of setting up a Soulblight Gravelords summonable unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's set up in the grave as a reserve unit. You can set up 1 unit in the grave for each unit you have set up on the battlefield. So standard 1 in, 1 out mechanic. At the end of your movement phase, you can set up 1 or more of the reserve units that are in the grave on the battlefield, wholly within 12 of the grave site and more than 9 from enemy units. And yes, as Tom just pointed out, remember, it doesn't say non-hero Soulblight Gravelords summonable unit or anything like that. So now your heroes can be burrowed as well. I should point out that the regular White Lord, what's he called? White King, yeah, I knew that. Yep. He is he's a special boy in the current season. Okay, nobody else in that list is. Everybody else is like unique or on a mount, but he is a special boy. He gets to benefit from all of the little special rules.
All the toys.
In the season. Yep. All the toys. Which means he could take the extra artifacts and stuff for the season. So he could pop up and hold objectives and count them, because your grave sites are only an inch away from objectives.
Right.
Still easily and pop in there and count as 10.
And popping up is only 3 inches now instead of 9 as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't charge, and you can't pile in. So it's like pile in would be the cheeky way that you could sneak around this. But because they put in that clause, like it severely hampers that. But that said, like it's that's That's pretty good. 3 inches
Exactly.
is much better than 9.
All
Yep.
kinds of
Right,
technical
like-
plays with that. Yeah.
I'm right on that 3 inches.
You are
right?
exactly
Three-
correct.
oh, yeah,
When you
100%,
pop them
yeah.
back up, that is the key. When you use Endless Legions, it is not 9 from enemy units. It is 3 from enemy units. That is exactly correct. You're right. They
Yeah.
can't pile in.
Right.
And so, like, depending on what you do there, you might just pop them up and get them killed again. But also, you might just pop them up and who cares? You just stopped the enemy unit from doing anything, depending on how that unit just got set up, right?
Right.
Not being able to reach
Right.
its goal, its objective, everything like that. It is Endless Legions is a very, very powerful ability now when used correctly. Like, it just,
Yeah.
it's powerful on its face because it's just regenning
Right.
half of every unit, basically, that dies over the course of the game, right? But it's also powerful just because of the way it can get in people's way, continue board control, stop charging, corral enemy movement because of that 3-inch limitation.
And it's wholly within 12 from a summoning point, hero, or gravesite.
Exactly. Wholly within
Wholly
within
within
12 of
12.
a hero or gravesite.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Denying battle tactics, screening something that would otherwise be getting hit, in setting up a screen in your opponent's turn. Yeah. Lots of different.
It's
things.
super Johnny-ish, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I know that I'm kind of jumping back to Endless Legions, but
You're
there is
okay.
a sense in which, because this is happening at the end of the movement phase.
Yep.
Like you can be in there, like you could jump in front of them for charges.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
If they're not literally, if they don't end like 3 inches off of you, right? Then oftentimes you will have the ability to suddenly just be like, no, you can't charge that unit. Right? Even if they end 4 inches off of you, you potentially have a chance to get in the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Potentially. That's because there's still plenty of little tiny baby bases floating around in this army. Right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay. Very good. Richard Clark, direwolves can pop up and pile in, right? Because they can pile in from 6. No, Richard, because it does shut off all pile in. Like on the turn you pop up, you may not charge or pile in, period. So you just
even if you
cannot
get
pile in.
charged, right? Even if you get charged, you don't get to pile in.
Correct. It's just you sit there and take it, right? You're still crawling yourself out of the grave. Think of it like that. Okay. Next up, Deathly Invocation. In your hero phase, you can pick up to 3 friendly Soulblight Gravelords summonable units wholly within 12 of a friendly Soulblight Gravelords hero. You can either heal up to 3 wounds allocated to that unit, or if no wounds have been allocated, you can return a number of slain models that have a combined wounds characteristic of 3 or less. Add 1 to the number of slain models that are returned to that unit if it is wholly within 12 inches of a gravesite. You cannot pick the same unit to benefit from this ability more than once per phase.
That's exciting.
It's very potent, and do note that that will interact, like, it will interact strangely, but it doesn't actually matter too much. So let's just go back here to this unit, okay? So, like, where this has really interesting interactions is with stuff like 2 wound Black Knights. You could normally restore 1 if you're near the gravesite. It's an extra slain model. It's not +1 to the wounds characteristic.
Yeah.
Right? Now, most of the time that won't be relevant because, like, if it had added 1 or 1 model in the case of Black Knights, it equates to the same thing.
Yep.
Right?
But, yep.
Yep. But that won't always be true, as we'll see. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. So, yeah, like, it's a good amount of healing. Right?
Yeah, and it's automatic. Like, there's no casting here.
So
like
casting,
before,
no rolling. It is.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's really strong.
Yeah. Pick these 3 units. I mean, reasonably, you can have them within range pretty easy. Now, it should be noted, this one does not trigger off of a gravesite. This one is only the hero. Okay.
Yep.
And it's in your hero phase, so it's before you would be able to put one of the heroes back using Endless Legions.
Yep.
Okay.
But
But most
you
of
could
the
still
time...
you could put a hero back in their movement phase.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then
Mhm.
and then heal them when, like if you're coming into the turn, right?
Yep.
You could certainly do that.
Absolutely. Like, you're on the bottom of the turn. In their turn, you gen back the hero in a safe position where he's not going to get charged. Start of your turn, hey, guess what? There's potentially 4 models back or something. Yep. Absolutely. It should also be noted that when you're restoring these, it's not like they can't be in combat or something. Like, you can do this to units that are fighting and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
it's all doable. The one thing to remember here about Deathly Invocation is the rule in the core rules about restoring models to units, that every one of the models you restore has to be set up within 1 inch of an existing model in the unit and can only be in combat if that unit is in combat. Just some small nuances in how this interacts with the core rules that's worth mentioning. So you can't like just daisy chain these guys off into
Right.
make a little comma tail. Okay, and then finally, Deathless Minions. You have a 6-up ward. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Cool.
sure. I mean, great, good, standard, fantastic, A+. Okay, let's talk let's talk Subfactions, because that's what this show does. It jumps right into Subfactions. We were moving so fast at the beginning, and now we slowed down. We're gonna pick this back up.
Yeah.
All right, the Legion of Blood.
I'm just here to hobby because that's what I do. I always just hobby on
No.
this show.
Always.
That
exactly.
checks out.
We
Always.
get it.
checks out.
You're doing that tournament grind, homie. We understand.
There's
Okay.
no judgment. There's no judgment here. I don't know how many models that I've painted on air over the last 7 years.
Good.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
All right. So this is Neffy, obviously. This is her Legion.
Yep.
So, LOB. If a friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero is within 3 inches of any enemy units, it's bloodthirsty. If a friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, it is empowered. Okay.
Got it. It's
Cool.
hungry and it's whatever.
Hungry and eating. Yeah, we're borrowing from the ogres here. You know what's funny about this? Is I read this, and my first thought was, oh, we're stealing the ogres trick. Okay? The ogres never get to keep anything.
Yeah.
But my second thought was, maybe they'll learn from their mistake before. Because the problem with the ogres was they created this really cool thing of hungry and eating, and then basically didn't do anything else with it.
Right.
It was just +2 bravery, +2 move. And that was basically the beginning and end of it. They never, like, the point to keywording a thing like this is to then use it in later rules. Right?
Mm.
And so I thought, okay, this time they'll have to know. And we'll see some more spiciness of some keywording put throughout the rest of this.
This time it'll be different.
Yeah. It was not. Okay. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by a unit that's bloodthirsty. Add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for a unit that's empowered. Very, very, very strong. Okay.
Yep.
Obvi. Those are crazy good benefits. So
I'll take it.
yeah,
my
sure.
first experience was a full-on Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon to the face. Extra attacks, now -3 rend, flat 3 damage. Just, I mean, I'm glad he got a glow up, as we'll see later. But good Lord, does that dude hit hard?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought when I read this was like, man, that Velazda looks hot.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Ignoring Ward and just the whole deal. I was like,
Yeah.
It should be noted this will also affect mounts. This will also affect Neffy herself because she is a Legion of Blood vampire hero. She meets all of the criteria. So, good stuff. The Coven of New Lamia. Okay. At the start of your hero phase, you can carry out one of the heroic actions below with a friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero instead of anything else. Cool. Okay, so standard, we got 2 more heroic actions you got a choice from.
Yep.
So, premeditated bloodshed. Pick 1 friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero until the end of this turn. Ward rolls cannot be made for wounds and mortal wounds caused by attacks made by this hero. First of all, love it. This, take note, GW. If you're going to do something that
This
punches
guy.
through ward rolls, this is how you do it. Because there's no commit here. I can just, if I'm fighting an army without wards I care about, guess what? I just never use this heroic action. And who cares? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Right? No loss. Right? when I have to make a whole subfaction choice to eat away ward saves, and like that's my whole thing.
Yep.
If I like that ends up feeling a lot worse when you don't play ward saves. I wish they would think about this kind of optionality and playing to your outs more in the way that they design stuff.
And this is naturally limited as well. Like that's one of the benefits of this, the way that it's
Sure.
designed. And what I mean by that is like not all of your heroes are going to do it. Not
Right.
all of your armies are going to do it.
Yep.
And
Just
so you
this
have
guy.
to be like if you're fighting Nurgle, you have to make a decision. Who are you punching through, and who's going to have to just weather it, right?
Yep.
And so like it is a wonderful design piece. Yeah.
Agreed. Again, it's going to be the
agree,
Velazda.
yeah.
He's going to come in hard to that
Yeah.
Nurgle, and Nurgle's going to have a real bad day. I mean, as someone who always runs when I'm running,
I was gonna say, as the Nurgle player here, I should be doing the talking. I don't know what this other guy's doing nowadays.
Go for
But
it.
every goddamn game I'm playing something that turns off my ward rolls. I'm getting sick of it. But this is the best. Like if we're gonna do it, let's do it this way. I agree with you guys on that because there's opportunity cost. There's limits. It's not just we're just turning off all the wards are getting turned off. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Right over.
I agree. I agree.
Tyler, you seem upset.
Yeah. my allegiance
Like
ability.
every game.
Yeah.
What's going on?
No, I get it. You're welcome to like playing Stormcast through every tournament where they wanted to use the shut off reserves. Right now, you have the
Right.
allegiance ability that's getting shut off.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we honestly might be getting a little too much of this in the game. You're not wrong. But that's probably that's probably a whole show right there. In fact, I'm gonna make a note of it. Mechanics we have too much of.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Oh man, I could go on a tear.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like that's probably a thing we need to think about because they really once they get an idea in their head, they really love running with it.
Oh yeah.
All right. And then Immortal Majesty, pick one friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero. Until the end of this turn, your opponent must spend 2 command points instead of 1 to issue the all-out defense and inspiring presence commands to enemy units within 12 inches of that hero. Yeah, seems good to me.
Yeah. This is Hero Hammer. There is nothing in this subfaction that benefits non-heroes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I like this one again. Neither of these are on a die, it happens. They're both auto, but they're both very specific. They're both only for this one hero that does it. But again, the first one helps you break through the hard defense of ward saves. Yeah. The second one helps you break through the soft defense of literal all-out defense and battle shock immunity. In a way, right? Because it softly penalizes that, makes it more expensive to use those things. Cool. Okay. Again, I have no problem with these kinds of total eclipse effects when they're very controlled like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the problem with total eclipse was never that it was 2 command points for 1. It was that it was everywhere on the board. Just it's all like
everywhere unrestricted. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what else is in Legion of Blood? What else is in Nephi space here? Okay. Well, Tom, do you have anything you like out of this list? I'll because you got a chance to actually read over this. I can't just throw this at Tyler. I got to give him a chance to look over this. But do you have anything you like off of this list?
I'll take Doomed Minions for 500, please.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Units, taxman melee weapons.
Yeah, that's right. D3 units, if they're within 3 inches of the general, everyone is 2+ to hit on them.
Sure.
Tasty.
Not just the general. And so, like, I can imagine coming crashing in with the Velazda, right? And then flanking with, like, Black Knight. Even, like, this is funny, even something as weak as the Black Knights when they're hitting on 2s.
Sure.
You know, like, coming in with a big block of them. Or anything, right? Like,
yep.
I think about how this affects those armies that are not hero heavy, that do rely heavily on infantry, that do rely heavily on their bodies. This just flips that on its head and just says that stuff's just meat. That's meat and wounds we're going to eat.
Yeah. I will say, I want to love Game Hunter. I really do. But this is like a very logical build here in the command traits, by the way, which I appreciate. The first one is for heroes. The second one is for monsters that aren't heroes. And the third one is for non-heroes, non-monsters. So I like
Yep.
there's
Yep.
there's a nice design
parody.
on there. The problem is Game Hunter is terrible, even though it's like incredibly strong against an incredibly thin slice of the game. That's the problem. Many
Yeah.
armies have goose egg monsters that aren't heroes, and so that just does nothing, right?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the like Beast of Chaos guy who has a Gorgon is just going to be like, oh.
No, but it's yeah, it's.
I mean, it's just not a good
yeah.
ability. You're never going to pick it. It's so strong what it actually
No.
does, because it just completely neuters that monster, right? Because that general just goes
Right.
over there and picks that
Right.
thing off no matter what it is. But it's oh yeah, that's another good point. Yes, thank you. It's anti-cron spine. Yeah, I guess the value of this of Game Hunter, right, will be determined on maybe like Sunday when we see the preview for Season of War, whatever the next season is, and we get the next incarnate.
Sure.
If it's another bent incarnate
Right.
that everybody puts in
Yeah.
their army, then the value of Game Hunter jumps to like 1 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, the other obvious one here, Cloak of Mist and Shadows, ignore
Yep.
modifiers, positive and negative save rolls for attacks that target the bearer. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, when you can be
So-
on a 3+ base and take that effect, it's obviously incredibly strong, right?
Yeah.
Being 4 up ethereal
Yeah,
is
and-
generally
but-
terrible. Being 3 up ethereal is generally amazing. It's literally it's that difference.
Yeah, I mean, and so like your general builds himself, right? With like, to me, doomed minions or Taylor Downfall. Like I don't hate Taylor Downfall.
Mm-mm.
You know, giving an enemy strikes last. Like
Pick one of me hero.
Like-
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine.
like
Again,
so it
sure.
it's
that's pretty good.
like
Yeah.
Making like Marathi
lost
strike
a-
last for the whole
yeah.
time she exists is fine.
And yeah,
Making
my
Archeon,
entire-
making blah blah blah.
my Nurgle list last year, as you guys know, was built around the kitty. I mean, a lot of people, had lists with the kitty where it was, generally speaking, a guarantee to make something fight last. When you had a list that really needed to wanted to gang up on something, right? Before that something had a chance to whack you and kill some of your pieces, right? In terms of activations. So yeah, I could see this being interesting. That's a good shout.
Yeah.
So I could see like Taylor Downfall or Doom minions, and then Cloak of Mist and Shadows on a Velocita,
Sure.
souped up, right?
Absolutely.
Like
As CW just
It's a
pointed out, the
wrecking ball.
ethereal amulet Velazda has returned. Long has he
Yeah,
slumbered,
like-
but he has returned.
Oh yeah.
like sprinkled to taste, right? Like that list writes itself.
Sure, absolutely. I hate the Orb of Enchantment. I hate it so much. Why do they keep writing artifacts like this? Please stop. Please stop. Once per battle, you can roll a die to maybe do a thing. Please stop.
As an aside, I don't hate the Amulet of Screams. Like if I have a second artifact,
It's okay.
like it's not terrible.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's funny because it punishes them for being successful with their spellcasting, and it's a very, very big radius, right? Like 18 inches off your base is massive. So that's fun. You do still have to be like relatively up near them because wizards will oftentimes backboard just slightly. But yeah, I don't hate it. I like Cloak, fantastic. Amulet, yeah, it's okay. I could see it in the list. And then Orb, stop it. Just stop. Stop writing this trash. Why am I being forced to carry this?
So like let's throw out a possibility. Like imagine Amulet of Screams against Teclis.
Oh, sure.
Like,
Well,
against
who's just
Moonbat.
going to pick one
Oh,
spell and then
that-
autocast it, but sure.
Well,
But then you're
sure,
still
are
deciding
they?
it for him. Or two or
Right,
something
like
that.
you're making their decision for them.
I agree.
And they're going to take, like if they decide to go 4, they're going to run the risk of taking 4d3 mortals on Teclis.
Yes. It's super good against like LRL, where every unit wants to cast a spell and it's very easy to be within
Right.
18 inches of like their whole army that's just now taking D3 mortal wounds every time they fire off their magic phase. Zinch. It's even funny against somebody like Nagash, right? It's hilarious. But it is funny that they have an item against their boss. I'm guessing Neffy just keeps that in the pot. That's like Batman keeping kryptonite,
Yeah.
just in case. Even though he will be resistant to that to some degree, but still, it's not bad. Yeah, sure. But again, Cloak is really obviously highly effective. It just is good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'll be really interested to see what this summer shakes out to, and like where does magic sit, because there's both going to be some really powerful magic and some really powerful anti-magic, and whenever you have a situation like that, one side wins. Right? It's not like, oh, well, those just get in the mix evenly. Nope.
One of our buddies was talking about how he had heard at least one of the AOS Worlds teams were dropping, supposedly dropping Zinch, I believe, because of Khorne's existence.
Sure.
Because of the potential, right, of running into Khorne, which is maybe is that, well, it's not necessarily the best context, but anyway, that's the whole show that we need to do in terms of the state.
When you can choose matchups.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you think about that. Like when you're actually going to be, as part of the format, choosing matchups.
Sure.
Having a strong weakness of an army is just simply a liability. Like there's almost no upside if you get a bad matchup there.
Yeah.
Like it's just an auto law.
We were talking earlier, Tom. We want to do an extended conversation after we get through these Battletomes about kind of the state of the game, and one of the premises is potentially that we're at an unprecedented level of rock paper scissors within a meta that's the healthiest that it's ever been, which we've said a lot, but like a very healthy meta. It's like the macro looks amazing, but the micro gets very messy potentially.
Right.
So anyhow, that maybe this is one of those examples. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Legion of Night. Manfred's group here. Okay. So very, very potent ability. This is funny because like I can't imagine taking Legion of Blood without Neffy. Is my honest answer.
Right.
Which we'll see when we get to Neffy's scroll. I just think she's
she's strong.
She's really strong. She is strong. I can absolutely I like Legion of Night a lot, actually, but I can 100% play this without Manfred all day and night and be fine with it, just fine. Okay, but we'll get to that more when we get to their two scrolls. Once per turn, during the enemy charge phase, after an enemy unit finishes a charge move, you can pick one friendly Legion of Night unit within 12 inches of that enemy and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That unit can attempt to charge. Cool.
I love it.
Okay.
Let's just give this out to everybody now. Again, this is just reading back into that mechanics we're overusing. The off-turn charging in response is probably one of them.
Other than Iron Suns, can you think of anybody else who has this?
Obviously, a guy in your army has that capability, but you pay like 700 points for it.
Sure, Glotkin.
Yep.
Yeah,
and also, obviously, OBR that you guys covered last week.
Correct. Yes, last week. Right. Remember, OBR has the same ability.
Yeah.
In whatever the main Mortis Praetorians.
I watch shows even when I'm not on it.
I appreciate it.
Got your once-a-year quota in. Good job, man.
So, I mean, that's just an extremely potent ability. Like, wildly strong. Because it turns so many fights into losers.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Cool. Swift Form is a new heroic action. Pick one friendly Legion of Night vampire hero more than 3 inches from all enemy units. Remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. That hero cannot move in the following movement phase. So only for vampire heroes, but your vampire heroes can all now teleport on an automatic heroic action. No roll, no spell, no prayer, no chance of failure. You just can't be engaged, and now you teleport. Cool. So that's pretty good.
Not bad.
It's pretty good. In general, turns out that teleporting is good. So,
sure.
Teleporting,
stuff.
Still good.
Still good.
Yep.
I look at all these, every book getting all these new command abilities and heroic actions and monstrous rampages, and then I look back at my precious Skaven book and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we just forgot to write any of that. That's cool. All right, and then finally into the Jaws of Death.
Poor Stormcast.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, at least they were written first. At least they got an excuse. At any rate, Legion of Night Zombie Dragons or Terrorgeists. Pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of this unit. I'm not going to read the whole darn thing. Okay?
Yeah.
It's you can unleash hell without unleashing hell, but only with the breath weapons of your dragons. That's what it is. It's a second unleash hell specifically for the thing you never want to spend the command point for to unleash hell, right? But that's what it is. That's what this is. It's just specifically for their 2 breath weapons.
Yep, and it's about rolling over their charge, their unmodified charge roll.
Correct. Yep. So there you go. And if they actually charge the thing itself, it becomes much easier because you get 2d6 plus 3 against their charge roll.
Yep.
So okay, cool. So like that's what it is. Good. Would you like a second Unleash Hell with a potentially good but sometimes whiffy weapon? Then great, here it is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Legion of Night. Command traits. I mean, we've got some good stuff here. I'll say that. Okay.
I just love it.
All of these have a use.
Right.
Like, Above Suspicion lets you reserve your general and then set them up anywhere you want. 9 inches away, obviously, but anywhere on the battlefield. Doesn't have to come out of like a grave site or anything like that. You can just reserve them and then set them up at the end of your movement phase. Doesn't have to be your first one. Could be. Doesn't have to be. The bait is +1 to save rolls and ward rolls for all of your Legion of Night summonable units in the first battle round. Their turn and your turn.
Yep.
So everybody goes to a 5-up ward and +1 save. Like,
yep.
Crazy. All your summonable things do. And remember, that is some number of heroes as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Unbending Will, your Legion of Night summonable units count as 2 models instead of 1 when they contest objectives while they're within 12 of the general.
Wholly within 12.
Yeah, wholly within 12 of the general. Yes. Those are all pretty strong. Big zombie units counting as double, or big skeleton units counting as double is very strong. Even direwolves counting as double is very strong. But the bait is crazy strong in the first battle round. As somebody who used to play a lot of... I remember what I called it. What was the real city called in cities, Tom? Tempest-Eye? Is that what it Tempest?
Tempest-Eye. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Tempest-Eye.
I can only remember Whirlwind's Edge because that was my name for the city. I can only remember what I made up my narrative. Anyways, famously +1 to save in the first battle round, right? And it was a very strong ability. It's crazy how strong that is. Last book, it was +1 to save only, and it was like
save, yeah.
I think there was some other limitation on it too, but yeah, it was just a save.
I think it was Death Rattle. It may have been summonable. I'm wanting to say it was Death Rattle keyword.
Yeah, I think it might have been unit more unit limited. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't do a direct rule to rule comparison.
Yeah, I mean those other 2 are good, but guys, I'd just go with Unbending Will. I mean, playing a lot of Expert Conquerors last season, it's just phenomenal. Counting, you pair this with heroic action, right? Swift form to get your general right in the
now
right
I'm
spot
over here.
To give out the bonus at the right time. That's really nice synergy there. Yeah. But those are all 3 pretty interesting.
So, yeah, interesting stuff. Then you've got, for your artifacts, your Shard of Night, which is interesting because it's not ethereal. It's the good one, but it's only for missile weapons, so you ignore all negative modifiers to save rolls for attacks made with missile weapons target the bearer. Fine, it's okay. Most shooting weapons you care about don't rely on rend too much. Although I say that, but we're also living in a world where I think KO might be the best army in the game right now. And so
I don't think it's a secret, Tom. I
think we all know KO is overcooked right now and is the best army in the game. So it's I guess it's super useful against them. I don't know. How long will the KO Sky dominance reign, I guess? Because most other shooting you're concerned about is doing mortal wounds and stuff. You're not really worried about the rend. The Chiropteran Cloak is the standard. If they roll a 1 to hit you, they get a mortal wound kickback. Okay. That's fine. Whatever. And then Morbeg's Claw. How many times? How many versions of this claw have we had? How many shots on goal have we taken with this claw? Okay. In your hero phase, if the bearer is more than 3 inches small enemy units, you can say they will carve sigils in the ground using Morbeg's Claw. If you do so, add 2 to casting rolls for friendly Legion of Night wizards wholly within 12 of the bearer. until your next hero phase. However, the bearer cannot make a normal move, run, retreat, or attempt a charge move until your next hero phase. Okay. So they got to pin themselves to the ground, as per always, to add 2 to casting rolls to all the wizards within 12 inches. And here's what's so funny about this. If you ever want to know how much of a movement-focused game this is, Morbeg's Claw has basically always let you do some kind of version of this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Where it's always it's shut off fighting and it's done various and sundry things, right? But it's always pinned you to the ground. And as a result, it's just never taken. Okay? Because it is a movement-based game. Now, I will say, maybe, this is its time. I doubt it, but maybe. Because there is also a heroic action that lets you teleport. And you have to give it to a vampire, not like a necromancer, which is its traditional
But you would have to
for this thing.
You would have to pin this, or you'd have to teleport and then pin.
Yeah, correct. Which you can do.
But the problem is that you're gonna want to do the buff, in a radius. Like you want to be able to move and then use the buff. Well, no, but the problem is if you teleport, your guy's gonna be out of position.
Maybe, unless he's catching up. Like, the idea with it would be, first round, you know where all your people are. It's the hero phase. He doesn't need to teleport. He pins himself to the ground. He provides the bonus, right?
Yep.
All the other heroes get the bonus. Then they go about their lives. Right.
Yeah, they move.
And then your next round, he teleports to catch up with them, pins himself in the ground again, now reset up in the middle of them, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea of the sequencing. So maybe this is finally, when's it going to be Morbeg's Claw's time? Maybe it's now. Maybe it's now. I don't know. Because the other 2 artifacts aren't doing anything for me. So I guess this is the one. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. Yeah, go ahead.
Swear, if we had a bingo card, that would be on there. Does that would get filled in every damn show though? Does Vince make a pop culture reference or sing? Those would be 2 separate. This would be cool with endless spells potentially. So doing the heroic action teleport right, getting set up to do a nice endless spell in a nice spot. I could see that potentially.
Yep.
Yeah, because he gets to benefit. The bearer of this gets to benefit from the +2 to cast 2. Not saying anything.
Yeah. All friendly Legion of Night wizards within holy 12. Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, this should get played. Like I would think this would get played.
I think this will get played. Between the teleport now, the fact that the spells are really good, I think this will get played. I think this, especially and also because Arcane Tome isn't very good anymore. So like, there's a sequence of events that are conspiring to make this thing actually be played. Right. So my vote is Morbeg's Claw. All right, let's talk about Virkos, the once and future king, as it were. So, I think this thing is still good, but obviously this is coming off the last book where it was like just the best, right? We all knew it.
Yep, it was an auto take. Yep.
So, Virkos. In the combat phase, after a friendly Virkos hero has fought for the first time in that phase, you can pick one friendly Virkos unit that has not yet fought in that combat phase that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit and is wholly within 12 of that hero. That unit fights immediately. Okay, so any of your Virkos heroes can chain any of your other Virkos units, including a second hero, which they then say, designer's note, if you pick another hero to fight, you don't get to keep going, right? So I'm glad we figured that out and put in the designer's note. Thank you. Thank you for thinking ahead on this one. I appreciate that. Thumbs up. Okay. So that's fine. You get very dynamic chain activation. Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. It's the wolf pack. Oh. At the start of your hero phase, you can carry out one of the heroic actions below with a friendly Virkos, blah, 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 blah. So you got 2 heroic actions. Pack Alpha. Instant FAQ. Pick one friendly Virkos vampire hero. Then pick one friendly Virkos Deadwalkers unit within 12 inches of that hero invisible to them. You can add D3 models to that unit. Designer's note. This ability allows a friendly Virkos Deadwalkers unit to be taken above its maximum unit size.
Mm.
Instant FAQ. Okay.
So I start with one corpse card.
Yeah. Correct. There it is. There it is. Yep. Corpse cards are Virkos Deadwalkers units. I had to go verify myself when I was reading this book. I was like,
Lord.
as soon as I saw that, I didn't even have to go look. I'm like, Deadwalkers units. I could do the ogres. The ogres aren't bad. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'll take the corpse card.
Yikes.
yeah.
And just space a D3 out.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously, this was meant to target, in my mind,
Zombies.
either the regular zombies, and probably I think it could include the ogres, because the Night Guard don't have much other use here.
No, they're pretty much junk. But if you get like 2 of them, for 4 wounds each, and you add
Yeah, then you just keep adding 2 every round. It's pretty interesting.
Right, like that's 8 wounds for free every hero phase. Like,
yeah, sure.
That's not bad.
Like,
That's
I
not
think
bad.
it should stay on the Kasargi Night Guard or whatever. Like, I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But yes, the silliness is the corpse card. Like, obviously this was not meant to add D3 corpse cards. Yes, someone wondering. They see me rolling, they hating. Yes, indeed.
Adding 240 points per hero phase.
Feels like probably not what this is meant to do per everybody's hero phase too. I'm doing that in the enemy movement phase too, baby.
That's what I said. Every hero phase.
Boom, boom, boom. Let's roll. Okay, yeah, obviously that's going to be fixed instantaneously. Don't be silly. Do not go out and buy like 10 corpse cards. It's not happening, folks.
Roll out indeed.
Okay. Kin of the Wolf, pick one friendly Virkos. And as pointed out, thank you. Somebody, Sexy Bear said Wolfpack is not once per turn. That is absolutely true. It's just every time it is not, your chain activation is not limited to once. It's every hero gets to chain one other unit in.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if you go with a hero, you get 1 unit, and then if you pick another hero next time, you go with another unit.
Correct.
The key is it's just if you pick hero, you don't go hero.
Yes. Oh, that is a good point. Yes, thank you very much, Frogom. I forgot. These additional heroic actions are limited to just your hero phase. I did forget that. Thank you. Either way, you're not restoring corpse cards. You're not adding corpse cards. So stop it. Yes, these are only your hero phase. Thank you. I read it and then immediately forgot because I got so excited about the hilarity of adding corpse cards. Pick one friendly Virkos vampire hero. If you do so, you can add 1 unit of 10 direwolves to your army. This unit must be set up wholly within 9 of the hero carrying out this action, more than 9 away from all enemy units. The direwolves unit cannot move in the following movement phase. You cannot carry out this heroic action more than once per battle.
These are so strong.
Yeah.
Here, have a free 100 and however many points.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, both of these are very good. Virkos has got some good stuff. It's sort of like, it's interesting because of the way it chain activates. It will minimize casualties. And then it has like a lot of interesting both restoration and adding through the restoring of zombies and the additional wolves. So, yeah.
And remember, you're still putting units back on the table when they go.
Yeah, sure.
At half strength.
Yep. Absolutely. And Virkos obviously has the most named heroes, so they've got kind of the most wacky capabilities coming out of unique heroes as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right. So, command traits. They have a worse version of one we're just about to read, which is you can reroll charge rolls for Virkos units wholly within 9 of the general. Okay, fine. The Hunter Snare is still there. It's still good. The contesting objectives, the general counts the number of models equal to their wounds characteristic. Still strong on something like a Velazda or whatever. And then my personal favorite, which is the start of your hero phase, friendly Virkos Deadwalkers units, wholly within 9 of the general, could get a move of up to 3 inches. Again, sounds like the smallest thing, but it's actually like the biggest thing. I love how it decided to spell Virkos there. That's very fun. There we go. I couldn't take that. It was bothering me. There we go. I like that sounds so minimal, but it's really very strong. Just extra 3 inches of movements in each of your hero phases.
It's an extra 15 inches per game.
Yep. But like none of these are incredibly
Deadwalkers.
mobile to me, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, okay, it's interesting. Here's what I mean by that. The interesting part about the Virkos traits is twofold things. And yes, I'm getting there. Don't worry. I know. E. Santos. We're going to get there. The interesting thing about the Virkos traits to me is that none of them are really that interesting. Okay? But unlike almost every other command trait and artifacts, Virkos' stuff can be taken by their unique heroes.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
This is just like an extra thing they get because they have so many unique heroes. Okay? None of the other subfactions do this. And it's funny because when I first read this, I was like, oh, all these are kind of underwhelming. Yeah. But it's fine because I'm just going to take the unique heroes and then I won't get to select these. You know what I mean? Right. And then I read again and I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Wait, hold up. Wait. Yeah, like totally changed the story there. So yes, now all of a sudden you can give Chadakar the Beast Hunter Snare where he's counting as his wounds, you know, Spore Tracker on some of the heroes. Like it changes a lot when you consider adding this stuff to the unique heroes we look at. Yeah. Totally different.
Well, can they be added? What do you mean?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That is what's different about Virkos command traits and artifacts. Unlike all other command traits and artifacts in the game, these right here can be given to unique Virkos heroes. They have a special exception in their subfaction that allows their unique heroes to take this stuff. Just this stuff. Their heroes can't go out and take like Arcane Tome. The unique ones or something. Not that they necessarily want to for sure, but they can take these 6 things.
Yeah.
So like Chadakar can take these, Belladama can take these, Inva, whatever her name is, the new one, she's really cool. Bat Lady, she can take these. Like, this is this book's third rail, where they decided to violate a core sort of principle. I really don't like it, is what I'll say. Okay. But
maybe they're experimenting.
Yeah, like when I read the command traits and thought about this, then like having, because I did this peeled like an onion for me when I first read this book, right? And I was like, okay, it's fine. And I was like, but these are all weak. Is it really going to matter? And I was like, but it's still an extra thing getting piled on top of these unique heroes, right? And then I read the artifacts. Okay. Yep. And I got to Ulfin Carney Phylactery, where add 1 to ward rolls for friendly Virkos summonable units for the purposes of the Deathless Minions battle trait while they are wholly within 9 of the bearer. And I was like, whoa. Never mind. I thought we were only dealing with like average things. Because that is a huge deal that all of your summonable things now go to a 5-up ward. I mean, I guess as we said earlier, everything in the game cuts through ward rolls now, but that's strong.
Yeah.
Right?
Not bad.
The standard of the Ulfin Watch, giving you every time your enemy spends a command point on a 4-up, you get an extra command point. Boy, are these guys excited to face their death brothers from last week if they've got the standard of Ulfin Watch.
Yep.
Spending like 8 command points in the turn. They're just fueling the power, right? And then the Terminus Clock is bad. But it's fine. It's bad. You can use it every enemy hero phase, but it still doesn't do anything.
Well, it's on a 3+, enemies are board wide -1 to cast.
I understand. I get it. It's fine.
Like an unrestricted debuff. Like, that's not terrible.
I got it. I'm with you. I'm sure there's going to be Terminus Clock defenders. I don't like it. Yes, it's -1 to cast ward wide. Okay. Like, okay. The only magic armies I'm concerned with look at that and go, all right. And like, you will greatly inconvenience armies where you didn't care about their magic anyways. It's just throwing good money after bad. Phylactery and the standard are just straight money.
Of course.
Right. So Virkos is still interesting, and it's doubly so because of that unique command trait and artifact exception. All right. Let's talk about Castelli. They have the Might of the Crimson Keep. The Castelli vampire units get to play a role-playing game. That's still the case. So they still get to level up. What was it? Was it Rise the Eldrazi, Tom, that they introduced the level up cards? Is that what that was from back in like 2011?
Yep.
Yeah, that's just what they're doing here, right? That's what they're playing with. When's that mechanic coming back? So
when I was first getting into the game events, I wrote that, I don't know if I've showed you a Tyrion Warscroll. I created a Tyrion Avatar of Light Warscroll, and it had this mechanic, a leveling up mechanic. As your units died in the army, anyway, he got stronger. He was taking back Teclis's power that had been disseminated to them. So I love that they've added stuff like this more and more to the game. I think it's a lot of fun.
Huge fan of I'm a huge fan of like these RPG level up mechanics. I love them. I really do. I love I love bonuses for killing stuff. I want a cookie.
Like I agree with that. I think that tracking this is going to be a nightmare because everybody's going to carry around a bunch of like permanent tokens with them.
It's not as watching it. It's not that hard. It's your vampire units and your blood knights. It's like, okay,
right. Like your heroes and your blood knights, correct?
Yeah. Okay, it's fine.
But if you're playing this, like that's what you are. You have some Velazdas and a bunch of knights. Like that's what you're playing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited for. So let me just say this. I don't think Castelli is very good. I'm just gonna say that straight up, compared to the 3 we just read, which I think are all strong. I think Castelli is like a fun, fluffy choice. To me, they divided this book into like the 3 highly competitive choices and then the 2 narrative fluffy choices. So sorry, Scott. Sorry, Miniac. He's gonna, because this is absolutely what he plays. He's all about this. He loves this. He loves Blood Knights and stuff like this. Okay, so they get a heroic action and a monstrous rampage. Their heroic action is pick one friendly Castelli vampire hero until the end of that turn. At the end of each phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to that hero in that phase, and that hero was not slain, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of that hero. On a 2-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay. Fantastic. Great. Thanks. I hate it. And Battle Crazed, which is a pretty good monstrous rampage. Yeah, go ahead. Read it again.
At the end of each phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds are allocated to that hero in that phase, that hero is not slain. Roll a dice each enemy within 3. I mean, it's not terrible. It's situational, but the end of each phase is interesting to me. That makes me think of
and within
blowout
3 inches
spell.
of the hero, but it's within 3 inches of that hero.
That's the real problem. Yeah, the 3-inch requirement. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's probably too situational.
It's bad.
And what I mean, Velazdas and Vordry are so powerful that like I don't know if it's gonna matter. Doing some additional damage, chip damage. Like they're probably I don't know. They're very powerful in combat. So this maybe if it's on a vampire lord or something on foot, but okay. Yeah, I think you sold me. Not that great.
Yeah, it's bad. Fortunately, they got a good monstrous rampage, which will like this is something to keep in mind later on. Their monstrous rampage is very simple. It's just you get +1 to wound for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit in the following combat phase.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
Any Castelli monster.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. +1 to wound rolls, huh? It's also by this unit. I guess the
mounts and riders.
I guess the rider gets to get the bonus to wound as well. So everything I can read here seems to say that.
Yep.
Yeah. I enjoyed this.
They didn't say Castelli monster that is not a hero, so I'm guessing that's just a thing. Very, very, very strong monstrous rampage. So good stuff there.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Vordry,
problem with going
Mojo.
heavy Blood Knights and all this stuff is that you're not getting in any of the summonable stuff, right? Which, as we've seen, has a lot of reinforcement and a lot of play. So your non-summonable guys have to do a lot. All right, Castellite traits, Swift and Deadly, reroll charge rolls for Castellite units while they're holding within 12. Just a better version of the last one we saw, but it's fine. The Undead Blade Lord, if one of your units gains a level up, the general gets to level up as well. And Shifting Keep, your Blood Knights can go in reserve. It gives you the gravesite thing effectively, right?
Yeah.
But you got to come in from the battlefield edge because the Crimson Keep is off board. It doesn't just drop in the middle of the place. It should be a lot cooler if it did. Be a whole lot cooler if it did. These all are terribly unimpressive to me, is my answer. I would probably take the reroll charge things just because I'm probably always charging with this army if I'm playing heavy Blood Knights and monsters. So why not? Cool. The Graved Sand Shard, no. It's fine. It's fine enough, but it's summonable units, and I'm not taking a ton of those in this army. It's a hard pass for me. Fragment of the Keep and the Red Casket, though, are both very good. Fragment of the Keep is -1 to wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons by enemy units within 3 inches of the bearer. Very strong. Very, very strong. Because it's just to all units anywhere near there. Stick that vampire on in there and broadcast out a nice big -1 to wound. And then the Red Casket is +3 to run and charge, which is just good God. Okay.
It's really good.
That's a big charge bonus. That's a really big charge bonus. I mean, I'm probably taking Red Casket is my honest answer. I think that is crazy strong. Lean into it. Right? Just lean into it. Take this. Take the reroll charge rolls. A, B, C's. Always be charging. Your stuff's better on the charge anyways. Get into it. That's what I say. Get in there. Blow them up. Okay. Finally, let's close this out. Avangori. The fluffy monster one. Their special ability is... Your monster, you get to pick one monster every combat phase and make it fight on its top profile. Fine enough. And then you have 2 monstrous rampages, obviously, because this is your thing. You're the monster faction. Maddening Hunger, D3 different enemy models within 1 inch of this unit and roll a die. Roll separately for each model. If the roll is greater than the model's wounds characteristic, gets slain. It's fun. You can, take a bite at a hero or something, pick a couple units out of a thing. That's fine. You do get to pick specific models, but it doesn't really matter because it's at the end of the charge phase. You're not going to break coherency or anything, but you can kill specific things like champions and flag bearers and stuff like that. And Unstoppable Nightmare until the end of the following combat phase. The first time this one's so wild. The first time a different friendly Avangori unit within 6 inches of this unit is destroyed, this unit can fight immediately after the last slain model in the destroyed unit is removed from play. So it's like Death Frenzy, but not for the unit that dies. It's like Death Frenzy for somebody else nearby.
Well, it's a Death Frenzy for an other Avangori.
Yeah, so okay. You do this monstrous rampage. Okay?
Yep. And then you're like, I dare you to kill anything else.
Kill anything. Correct. This isn't like Death Frenzy. This is
6 inches.
Yes, this is Revenge Frenzy. Right?
Yes, I dare you to kill anything else within 6 inches of this unit. Go.
Now, it would allow you to fight twice. If this thing fights and they kill something else, then this thing gets to fight again. So that is all true. It would still allow that.
Yep.
But this rule is wild. I do not know what's going on here. What is this? Who templated this and why is it called Unstoppable Nightmare? What does that... I don't know what this rule is. Why this rule? I'll do you one better. Why is this rule? What? What is this?
No, the right answer is it just needs to be Death Frenzy.
Yeah, why isn't it just Death Frenzy? Right? Wouldn't that
Yeah,
make sense?
because it would actually like read appropriately then.
Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Okay, whatever. Anyways. Your command traits, you still got Monster Smite. We can probably just stop there. Because it's subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target friendly Avangori monsters wholly within 12 of this general. Cool. We can probably just go ahead and stop reading. Because that's the one. Okay?
You're gonna do that.
You're gonna do that. It's like, not that torment driven throws isn't cool. Strike Last is fun, but it's on a 5-up, and you know, like, yeah, free movement is cool, but neg 1 to wound in a giant bubble. Turns out that's the good one.
You know what killed it? Like, I looked at the artifacts, and every single one was once per battle. And
I
was
know,
like,
right?
No.
Why are you like this? And by the way, none of them are that good. Like, they're all okay. One of them is a once a battle, roll a die, do some mortal wounds, but potentially do nothing.
Yeah.
Gorvar's Collar is like a once a battle, strike first effect, which is like, okay. And Furious Crown is a lot of words. If you do so after the bearer makes charge move in that phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of the bearer and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll for that charge move. For each 4+, the unit suffers 1 more wound. It gives you good ogre charge. You could just, I love how at this point we could have just said good ogre charge. We're like, got it. But that's once per battle ability. Good ogre charge, the thing they do every time they charge. Like, these are all bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're all bad. All these artifacts are bad.
It is disappointing, but true.
Which is why I say I'm just playing Luke of I automatically if I'm playing Avangori, because, like, why not? Who cares?
Truly not losing anything.
I don't need the artifacts. I guess I'll take another one of her friends that'll be my Monster Smite carrier. He'll actually be the general, but whatever. All right. And then spells. They're good spells. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, they've got a good spell lore.
Yep.
It's a strong speller. So we got Vampires and Death Mages. We're down to 3 spells each. Soul Pike. Spell has casting value of 6 and a range of 24. If successfully cast, pick one enemy within range, invisible at caster. To your next hero phase, if that unit makes a charge move, roll a number of dice equal to charge roll for each 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If the unmodified casting roll for this spell is a 9+, and this spell is not unbound, you can pick 2 different enemy units within range instead of 1. So here we remember that in the last book there was the whole 9+ double tap that was removed as an allegiance ability and baked into the spell itself. Okay. Vile Transference. Spell it as a casting value of 6 and a range of 9. Very short. Pick one enemy unit within range, invisibly cast, roll a number of dice equal to that unit's wounds characteristic. For each 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. You can heal 1 wound allocated to the caster. If the unmodified casting roll for this spell is a 9+, then you suffer 1 more wound. You can heal 1 wound for each 4+. Which is cool. You really want to run into, like, a giant with this, or some kind of monstrous dude. Because you will heal the crap out of yourself with this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. My great and clean one got hit by this.
Sure.
Added to the healing of the dragons that I was trying to bring down. Yep.
And that's what we'll see. There's already, I like Vile Transference. What everybody's going to miss is Amethystine Pinions. Right?
Sure,
and I'm not sad to see it gone, is my honest answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Spirit Gale is just really funny. Cast on a 7, and every enemy unit on the battlefield takes a mortal wound. And if you roll a 9+, it happens. Everybody takes 2 mortal wounds. Okay. It's funny.
Yeah. Not bad.
It's fine. It's fine. I like big giant effects like that. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
All right. Lore of the Death Mages, Fading. So this is obviously your non-vampires. Fading Vigor is a spell is cast value of 6 and range of 18. Pick an enemy unit. -1 to their attacks characteristics of their melee weapons until your next hero phase. If you roll the 9+, it's -2 attacks. So good. And again, good that it went to 18 inches. I don't think it was before. Maybe, I don't remember if this one was 12 or 18 inches. Somebody in the comments will know for sure.
I think it was 18.
Was it okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I got hit with it a bunch over the years, so yeah, I think so.
I couldn't remember. I know there was a couple of them that were annoyingly 12. But again, I didn't do like a line-by-line comparison.
Yeah.
Prison of Grief, still locked to 12 inches. Okay, Vigor was 18. Cool, thank you very much. Prison of Grief, still locked to 12 inches, but very strong. Pick an enemy unit, strike last. And what's fun about this one is if you roll the 9+, the range goes to 24 inches. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I actually really like that kicker. That's really neat. And it works fun with the sequencing of spellcasting because you don't have to pick a target until the spell resolves. So you can, roll, see what you get, then pick your target. So it's fun. All right. And then Waste Away, casting life 6 and 18 inches, pick an enemy unit, visible, blah, blah, blah. To your next hero phase, subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit, and subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that unit's melee weapons to a minimum of 1. If the unmodified casting roll for the spell is 9 and the spell is not unbound, you can pick 2 different enemy units. Ungodly strong. Ending on the strong note there. -1 to wound and -1 to damage with the ramp ability of a double tap to pick 2 units.
Yeah.
They had this
it is
last
like
time.
so strong now. Yes, but this was just a hero before.
Oh, okay.
Waste Away used to be like hero only.
That's the hero? Okay.
Yeah,
I know it
that
was
one I
called
do
something
know.
different. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Sexy Bear said it used to be called Decrepify. There you go. Okay,
Decrepify,
cool.
yeah.
Yes. But yeah, now it's just a unit. Like, this is so strong. So strong.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good spell.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like, -1 to wound and
One of the-
-1 to damage is a crazy strong ability. Crazy strong spell.
Yeah, one of the characteristics last season or last book was debuffing with Soulblight. Like you would just you'd get hit with multiple debuffs, and so it looks like they maintained that with the spell lord list, and we'll see the Warscrolls here. But yeah,
100%. Speaking of, let's get into it. Let's keep moving here.
Yeah,
let's talk about the Warscrolls. I skipped Nagash because we covered him last week. So, and he's still Nagash. He's the same.
He's been showing up a little bit. I've seen him in some tournament lists, which is cool.
I am shocked.
So, see how that goes. Yeah,
I am legitimately shocked. He's so expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Manfred. Still 14 wounds, 3 up save, yada yada. Double cast wizard, war master, fly, mount. He has his ghosts, all that kind of stuff. Okay. He's 390 points. He's obviously pinned to Legion of Night because duh. He still has the armor of Templehoff, which is the first wound or mortal wound caused in each phase is negated. His sword, still Geistivor, however you say it, still has that weird trigger, and so you have to stack his attacks in the particular way, because then if he manages to slay somebody with just his thing, then he gives +1 attack to all summonable units wholly within 12 of him, and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But really what's interesting him is how... So he used to obviously be super annoying, right? Because he would just bounce out of combat constantly, right?
Yeah.
He was just really annoying piece. Now he's going to bounce into combat. I love when they just completely decide to rewrite the way a piece functionally works. Mortarch of Night. The strike first effect applies to this unit if it makes a charge move in the same turn. Okay? All right. So he strikes first when he charges. Got it. With it. Okay. In addition, if this unit receives the redeploy command, it can attempt to charge instead of making a d6-inch move.
Yeah.
So, whereas before, you'd like get near him and then he would just leave. Now you get near him and he's like, no, I'm coming for you.
I mean,
well, not only
like
that,
it.
but not only that, like he's going to choose his fights because you're always going to get the chance to charge with Manfred before they get to charge.
Sure.
Because it's happening in a movement phase.
Yeah, nothing's saying you move near him. You move over here, trigger a redeploy at the edge of 9 inches, and he's like, oh, I'm off to the races, boys. I'm going this way. And he just, zoop. zips over here. Yeah, 100%. He doesn't have to
Yep.
like charge the unit that triggered the redeploy.
And he's charging first.
Sure. And then also striking first later in the turn.
But
Yes.
that's what I meant. Like, sorry.
Gotcha.
Like, that's what I meant.
I thought you
yes,
meant
he's
sequencing.
striking
Like,
first.
yes, he both charges before any of their charges happen because of the sequencing,
Yeah.
and then he'll strike first in that turn. Yes.
Right. And so to get near him is actually to invoke his wrath
Yeah.
in that sense, because he's going to strike first and lift some of your unit.
It's so funny how this guy changed, right? Because he went from this like charge disruption piece who would just like constantly soak up basically enemy attack, like moves. It was impossible to pin him down, to like, to now he wants to go get in fights, but they're going to be unexpected fights. He's always just choosing his fight effectively, right? So it's an interesting way that they decided to change that. We'll mention the hunger here really quickly, because we're going to see this repeatedly like throughout the book. So I'm not going to talk about it in the future. I'll just talk about it here. He has it. This is what we've been talking about with the self-healing. Each time this unit fights, after all of its attacks have been resolved, you can heal up to a number of wounds allocated to this unit equal to the number of wounds and mortal wounds caused by those attacks that were allocated to enemy units to a maximum of 6. That is just going to be the rule. We will see 100 times repeated throughout this book.
Yep.
Okay.
It's enormous. It just, it's first experience. You have to, I feel like I've been getting a little too excited on first exposure to some of these recent Battletomes, forgetting the principle of you've got to play it multiple times to get over the initial sticker shock. But good Lord, did the healing stand out. It stood out against that Dankhold, the Trog boss with the 4-up ward, which just takes it to a whole new level. That thing is ridiculous at 210 points, 200 points. Whatever. And then these, these dragons, just how difficult. If you don't have a really good range projection to blast them down before they can get into combat, blah, 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 which I don't really like that incentive. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like what I think at a high level about this. Just in terms of like, because it kind of, it's a little like anti-range projection, which seems good because we have we're now back to quite a bit of range projection in the game. Like the last GT I don't know if you guys heard me say this, but the last GT we did locally, our top 10 was either combined arms or just like intense ranged output, shooting, magic. Like every army in the top 10 was that. So, and I've been hearing more people talk about shootings back in the game. So do you guys have any like high level thoughts initially on this? And does it seem reasonable?
This makes me want to play more shooting. That's what I'll say. Like my natural response to this incentive is, man, I want to play more shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also the sub-faction. This won't help Manfred, but just as a heads up, this is sub-faction that also is going to limit rend on shooting. The knight has the one of the item of knight.
The artifact, where you can drop the rend on shooting.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's an interesting piece at 390. I like him. I think he's strong, right? It's just, I don't see him as an auto take in Legion of Night. I could build, many Legion of Night lists without him. Not that I'm saying he's bad. Not what I'm saying. I'm saying he doesn't feel as required. Whereas, Nephi, the Mortarch of Blood, Legion of Blood, also 390 points. Also a double caster wizard with Warmount, Fly Mount, and Companions. Just like everything else. She still has her little dagger. That can get you. Okay. She has Twilight's Allure. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons. The target friendly Legion of Blood units wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So she's always neg 1 to be hitting melee, and everybody around her's neg 1 to be hitting melee. But then she has the Mortarch of Blood. Let's check this crazy rule. Here's what I love about this. This rule will get better and worse over time, depending on the GHB. Here we go. At the end of deployment, before determining control of objectives, you can pick up to 3 friendly Legion of Blood units on the battlefield. First, remove this unit from the battlefield, and set it up again wholly within your territory. Then remove those friendly Legion of Blood units from the battlefield, and set them up again wholly within your territory. So effectively, her plus 3 friends are going to get to, at the start of the game, before you determine control of objectives, pick her up, pick 3 other units up, and reset them up anywhere in your territory.
Right. No. Yeah. No more than 9 away from enemy territory restrictions. None of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, meaning you could take a massive chunk of your army and go like put them up on the line. Like if you've got it,
Yeah.
if you've again, the reason I say this is GHB dependent is because what do the battle plans look like?
Right.
Right.
If you've got a bunch of
Like-
battle plans that are like this, that are like the line in the center and territory, right?
Yep.
Then she can just like boop. She can just Harry Belafonte her way right up there, just jump in the line, right? Just get on or if you prefer, we can go for the cake reference and she can be reluctantly crouched at the starting line. Okay, like whatever you like. But or the
Like,
other
even the
million
zigzag.
tricks you could pull with this.
Yeah, like even the zigzag stuff, even the like there's just so many options.
Right. So like she doesn't have to be distance from the enemy, she doesn't have to be distance from their territory, none of the units do. And I don't know that this will be FAQ'd or changed. I mean, she'd almost by necessity have to be 9 away from enemies. But not necessarily. Like there's probably an FAQ here to how this interacts with other pregame moves, given the timing of it, right? Because it doesn't have the timing clause. But like, yes, if they pregame move stuff, she can reset up into combat with enemies. Like if somebody jumped way out with a pregame move, like way up, just like ran straight up, she could set up right into combat with them right now.
Yeah.
Like that is a legal move at this point.
Yeah.
My guess is they may have to fix that.
Mm.
I don't know that they'll change like the territory thing, because again, that's not always going to be the case. Because sometimes the board's deployment zone is like this,
Yeah.
right? And it's like then the pregame move where they can just walk out of their territory is 100 times more powerful, right? She's still locked into the blue zone or the red zone.
Can I ask, how is it possible that we still haven't fixed Dark Mist?
It's lovely.
Right?
Oh.
Because it's still only negative modifiers on save rolls, and so you can still give
Oh yeah.
a unit a 2-up unreadable.
Yep. Sure. Yes. That is a thing you can do. Yes. She still has Dark Mist. It's still incredible. And she has the Hunger. And she has more Tarka Blood. I'm not playing Legion of Blood without Neffy in it.
No. I mean, she makes me want to play Legion of Blood. That, and I could model an entire army after like a Tomb Kings style.
Yeah.
Now, look.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Even if more Tarka Blood gets FAQ'd to like the sensible things, like you can't set up into combat if somebody pregame moves or whatever, and the timing gets clarified, I still love the ability, because redeploying 4 units out of your army anywhere in your territory is just
Great.
It's very strong. Like it's just even played completely fairly. You know what I'm saying? Like no jankiness.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
It's so strong. Yeah. No, you're right.
Because you can just bait people and then be like, nope, everything's moving now.
Yep.
You know, I think of Tyler the boards with the big L's.
Your favorites.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, that's just bait city for how you're moving around. Right?
Yeah. Actually, you don't mind those too much. It's the
No, I like them. I like those.
It's the Nidus Paths maps that you're not.
Yeah, correct. I don't mind the L's. L's are fun.
Yeah.
L's all day, buddy. Give me L's. I'm good with L's. I like the decision making of L's. This, Tyler, this has got to go.
Sure. So yeah,
That Hubert
where we
board.
were. As far as I can tell, where we were with the last book, we ended up with Neffy, 10 Blood Knights, a bunch of others, 20 Grave Guards, etc. Right, but it was Neffy, 10 Blood Knights, 20 Grave Guard. I was seeing a ton of that because of this thing, Dark Mist. So it kind of feels like we're still going to be here with a lot of lists. Legion of Blood,
the difference is
Neffy.
now there's a lot of other really strong supported stuff in Legion of Blood. Right, beyond that, like some of those abilities in there really got upped and improved. And more Tarka Blood just has like boundless potential. So, yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Prince Vorderai. Look, folks. Here's what Prince Vorderai is. He's a killer. He's a killer. That's what he's here for. Are you looking for a hammer? I'm not going to read this, dude. But like, what's relevant here is you can go to 5 or 6 attacks on 3s and 3s, or potentially 3s and 2s. At -3 rend, 3 damage each.
He's nuts. I faced him Tuesday. Just a baller.
He's obviously in Castelli. He's a straight killer. He's a War Master. He's a single cast wizard. His spell gives him strike first now, right?
Yeah.
He has
Because
terror,
of
so
course
he
it
shuts
does.
off. Because of course it does. He now has terror. We'll see a couple units with terror now on these big monsters where they just shut off Inspiring Presence. Boy, do we need to do that mechanics that are now we see too much of. Because here's another one. I get it. We're just shutting off it. Like the goal. I guess this is the patch until 4.0. And apparently we do something with Inspiring Presence. This is called trying to make bravery matter, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what, and he plays around with the role playing game level up thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he does it the opposite way of the command trait. But yeah, he's just a straight murderer. He's a high damage, high rend killer for
High
470
mobility.
points. What's that?
High mobility.
High
Yeah.
mobility.
High mobility.
Yes.
14 ply. I mean,
Mhm.
and if he eats any base models, he goes to 15, right? To Castelli.
Yeah, correct. That is correct. Yes, because he will level up. He's a Castelli hero. He is a Castelli vampire hero.
Yeah.
Or Castelli vampire, sorry. Doesn't have to be hero. Yes, he can level up same as any of the others. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, look, are you looking for a hammer? Look no further. Here he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a good sense right now of what's the power rankings, what's the draft class of hammers in the current game. He's got to be up there, I would guess, because
he's not as straight damaging as like a mega boss on Maw Crusher.
Maw Crusher,
Even though he's in the same points range, like he's only off by 10 points. He obviously doesn't have the mega boss's speed, but what he does have is the ability to shut off Inspiring Presence and the ability to self-heal and the ability to cast a spell and put himself into ASF, which are 3 potent things in his favor, right? And then there's he can gain all the various level up mechanics as well and stuff like that. So, like the fact that you can basically read that guy's profile as 2s to wound, is just like very, very powerful.
Yeah, he was 2s and 2s or 3s and 2s whenever he was fighting, and then leveling up, and it was him, a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, 3x5 Blood Knights, 3x10 Skellies, and maybe a little hero of Kato, who was awesome as well. And I mean they're tough to deal with. Like they certainly were for my army. Like it's tremendous damage output, tremendous. And very, very hard to kill because of the hunger, especially.
But I think he is still like weaker than a mega boss. He's a good hammer in this army. But like we'll talk about the generic Vampire Lord like as well. Don't worry, everybody. I see everybody repping for the regular Velazda. Don't worry. I'm not. We haven't got there yet. We'll talk about him. Okay. We'll talk about him. Don't worry. Okay. Lukovi. She's 300 points. She's Lukovi. I mean, these 2 nightmare creatures in my estimation have always been a little underwhelming. Like they're fun, they're fine, they're overcosted. She's a single cast wizard, War Master. She can fly. She's got a 12-inch move. She only has 11 wounds, which is a terrible number of wounds. Her fun thing is that she can make Avangori monsters carry out 2 monstrous rampages, which I do like. That's fun, especially because they do get an extra, what I think at least 1 good monstrous rampage, right? So that's fun. She still has the worsen rend around her, just like the non-named one does as well. She has the hunger. I do very much like her spell, which is the Queen's Diktat. What a fun name for a spell. Casting value of 6 and a range of 24 inches. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within range invisible to caster. Until next to your phase, friendly Avangori monsters are eligible to fight in the combat phase if they are within 6 inches of that enemy unit instead of 3, and they can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in. So that's cool. She gives all of her monsters cheater pile in, so she can like pick a target everybody can, if a spell goes off, which you're going to know before you move, right?
Mm.
Then everybody can run at that thing.
Yeah.
And then cheat or 6-inch pile into it,
Mm.
right? So it does make the whole army a lot more mobile, which is fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
I generally hate cheat or 6-inch pile in. Would I ever take Lukavai outside of Avangori? No. Would I ever take Avangori? Yes, it would be absolutely what I'd play if I played this army because I'm an idiot. Like, it's the weakest one by far, but it's also the like super Timmiest one. So like, of course I'm gonna play it.
I mean, maybe like I could see. I don't know. I could see some of the others being super Timmy as well, just because, like, just instead of going monsters, you go vampire monster, right?
Sure.
A bunch of mounted vampires.
Yeah. I no disagreement there. This is just my particular brand of nonsense in Timmy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all. I'm not all Timmys, right? And then the regular Vangorian Lord, yada yada, wizard fly, 10 wounds, the worst number of wounds. His damage is like fine. He's still a monster. He's 280 points, which is again too many points. He can do a heal if a monster kills something. That's his festering feast. He has the hunger, like all the rest of these people have the hunger. Like they all have the hunger.
Yeah.
He also has the nightmare miasma thing, worsening the rend. And he can allow a different Soulblight Gravelords monster to also use the hunger, so he can give his hunger out to somebody else to let himself heal. So that's fine. He's like, he's simply not worth 280 points. That's the bottom line. Like, this guy's scroll is not 280 points.
Would have been nice to see his Saber on Ren 2, but just one less attack than Laukavai, like that, but not Ren 1. Yeah. Too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's okay. It's not that he's terrible. He's just, like, the scroll is fine for what he should be. He's just too many points for what that is. But I get it. Yeah. This army's likely paying a premium in its heroes for its sort of regeneration amongst everything else, but whatever.
Yeah, I played against this guy a lot as well last season, and just the -1 rend, or that is rend reduction plus -1 wound, right? All that is part of a debuff package. Sure. It's notable. Like it just generally always felt like he's a little off. Like it wasn't like you could play him, but he's definitely not. He didn't strike me as ever the optimal choice, right, in list building for the most part. But yeah, playable. Yep. Yeah, little too expensive.
Radikar the Wolf, little Radikar, 130 points. He has the hunger. It caps out. It's funny that they didn't have to write the cap to a max of 6 because he only has 6 wounds, so he's either dead or healed back to full, right? Like that's the only choices. He gives +1 to the attack characteristic of Virko summonable units when he charges, and he can ward off on Kasagi Night Guard. Okay, it's fine. It's cool enough. He's good little guy, good little vampire Virkos dude. Like he's at 130 points. He's honestly not terrible, but he's still a wizard. He doesn't have any spell on his scroll, but he's okay. He's okay for 130. Like he has the good hero foot attack profile, right? He's fine. He's an interesting way to get +1 attacks, right? To your summonable units, because all he has to do is charge around pretty cheaply. Then we got Chadakar the Beast going up to 12 wounds with a 4-up save. And remember, with all these Virkos heroes, they can carry the command traits and artifacts that we looked at under the
cheater stuff.
So you need to factor that in to your evaluation of their points, right? Okay. So the Beast, same thing. He has the Call to the Hunt as well. So again, if you like, he's a lot more expensive. One of the things I actually don't hate about Little Radikar the Wolf is he's kind of a cheap way to get that package. He's a lot less survivable, but it's an interesting enough way to pass out +1 attacks, so it's fine. This guy's obviously at 290 is more than double the cost, but he still gets you there with that same ability. He can do some mortal wounds with his claws. He has the hunger still, so he can heal up to 6. He is -1 to be hit and wounded all the time.
Yeah.
which is melee and range, which is pretty good for obvious reasons. Like the fact that it's not just neg 1 to hit, but neg 1 to hit and wound is good. And he can't retreat, but if he gets wounded out of phase, he can sort of lope forward at people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's really cool. This is a guy
Yeah.
I have painted, actually. I have both of the Radicars painted, as a matter of fact. So.
He got I believe he got a rend buff on the Bloodstock Claws. I think he used to be -1 rend all around, which was weird. So that's, if it's true, that's really nice to see. Help him with output a little bit. But yeah, I was always impressed by this guy. Like pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a shame they made his Unleashed Ferocity be 2 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. I would have liked it if it was like 1 mortal wound in addition.
Yeah.
You know, I think I would have liked that better, but it's fine. Like, he's fine. I'm not incredibly moved by him, but he is an interesting thing to carry the Master of the Hunt or whatever it is. The thing that lets him count as his wounds characteristic as toward capturing objectives. So
Right.
the can't retreat part always hurts me because retreating is such a like important tactical component, right?
I think that's new. I don't think he had that last time.
But it's fine. He's good. Yeah, he doesn't have his summon 10 direwolves thing anymore, but obviously the heroic action is stand-in for that now.
Yeah.
Ivia Volga, the new ice. I didn't read like the story to her. Is she like related to Belladama? I assume. Is she like her daughter or granddaughter, niece, something like that?
I don't know.
Though she is an elder.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's probably in like it's probably in like the oops, wrong book.
The narrative.
It's probably in the story there somewhere, yeah. I have both books sitting next to me. Okay, that's fine. I don't know who she is, but I like her a lot. I actually like legitimately really like this special character. So she's a Vampire Virkos hero, right? She's 135 points. So she's like 5 points more than Radikar or the standard. Let's call 130 points Vampire hero. That's our baseline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, not a wizard. So, number 1. But she does have the standard hero attacks in the game. Standard foot hero attacks, 5 attacks, 3/3s, neg 1/2. Just like what we apparently give every foot hero now. Right? She still has the hunger. Her little Shrieking Swarm subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this unit. In addition, if this unit has any wounds allocated to it, the attack characteristic of the Needling Fangs is 12 instead of 2d6. That's just fun. It's a fun rule, right? But here's actually the reason why I like her. This is, I really legitimate. Like, eat your heart out, Yndrasta. Behemoth's Bane. If any enemy monsters are within 3 inches of this unit counts as 10 models for the purposes of contesting objectives. In addition, while an enemy monster is within 3 inches of this unit, the attack's characteristic of that monster's melee weapons is 1.
Heaven forbid
Jesus.
that what's his face comes rolling up. We just talked about him.
Archeon? I don't know. Who do you mean?
No, what's the guy? The vampire lord.
Mordrai?
Prince Mordrai.
Oh, Prince
No,
Mordrai.
like Prince Mordrai. Yeah, like Prince Mordrai rolls up and she's like, "What's up, man?"
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
He might still flatline her even with 1 attack down his profiles, but still.
Well, remember, it's on -1 to hit.
Yeah, sure.
It's
I understand.
And she could get like
It's -1 to be hit, and they only make 1 attack on every attack on their profile. Yeah.
right.
It's like neutered monsters.
Yes.
No joke.
Yep.
Like, she straight neuters monsters. Right?
Yeah. Man, like
yes,
her
that's very
rolling
funny.
up,
CW
like
Crinner said Ivia versus Kragnos is the rumble of the century.
Or her rolling up on like a giant army.
Sure. Like, it's hilarious
She's like,
when it, like, for Sons of
Hey
Behemoth.
boys.
Loon Boss
Yeah.
on Mangler Squigs. Like there's 100 examples of this, right? The aforementioned Mega Boss on Maw Crusher becomes a heck of a lot less effective. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, she can still die if the opponent gets lucky. If they get through, she's 6 wounds on a 4-up save with a 6-up ward. Like, let's not overstate the situation here.
Yeah.
Right. But that is a heck of a penalty. No joke. That ain't bad.
And as an aside, she can carry all of the traits and items. A reminder.
Yep. Sure.
So she can bring ward saves to summonables. She could make the one guy's move.
I don't know why she's not immune to monstrous rampages.
How amazing would that be? Because she wants them to stomp. She wants them to stomp her so that she gets 12 attacks on her bats.
I guess, yeah. Yay. Those bats are -1 rend. So eat that, every other weapon profile in the game that isn't -1 rend. You're worse than bats. So I guess that's the level we're at here. I like her. She's very squishy, but that's a very fun ability. I just think she's super cool. So yeah, I'll probably paint her up and down.
It has a real purpose.
Yeah.
135.
Yeah, she's, like I said, she's basic, like, post the points change in the GHB when everybody loses their 5 points, which I'm just going to assume is happening because, like, we cut a bunch of them out in the points update, right? So I'm just assuming when the new GHB and the new points come out or whatever, nobody's going to have 5 points anymore. I'm assuming we're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
Right? So she'll just be the same cost. Like, I'm just reading her as 130.
Right.
Yeah.
She ain't 140.
I mean, unless she is.
I mean, I don't think she is. All right, let's talk about her grandma, maybe, I guess. I don't know, potentially some kind of relation. Belladama Volga, Wolf Grandma. You gotta love her. 9 wounds, the best number of wounds. With a 4-up save. 10 bravery. She's Virko's vampire hero, of course. She's a double cast wizard with War Master and a mount. She still has the hunger as well. They all do. Right? Willard Ward said, I think they're the bats from the Scooby-Doo intro. Well, you're not wrong. She's still +1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls, which is great. And if she's within 3 inches of any friendly Virkos direwolves, then she can ward off on them on a 3-up. They can bodyguard for her like they used to. So that's still great. And she still has the incredible spell, which is Lycan Curse, which is amazing. And it lets you do D3 mortals to a unit, and if you kill something, you set up a direwolf unit in combat with them for every slain model.
As an aside, a brief reminder that direwolves are deadwalkers.
Yeah. So
you can 1, and then on the next hero phase, you can trigger the restore D3 model.
Your next hero phase, yes. Your next hero phase.
Yeah, on your next hero phase. And you can go like 1. Oh, I'm up to 4. Just start building that unit.
If for some reason they failed to kill it, yeah, sure. Well, like if you go after the sort of dream here is you hit sentinels, right? And you kill 3 sentinels and then get 3 direwolves in combat with them, and those 3 sentinels cannot kill 3 direwolves in melee, probably, right? Then it rolls back to your turn, and somehow, yes, you manage to then start reinforcing and growing that unit, which is hilarious. So, yeah, and then Under a Killing Moon is just a good buff spell. Standard 6 is double tap spell. So, I've always loved Belladama. I thought she was super amazing. Thought she was good before. She's 170 points. Amazing. I think she's good now. The fact that I can give her a command trait and an artifact, even if they are a bit underwhelming, I think is incredible. That being said, I think she's an awesome carrier for stuff like the +1 to ward for Virko summonable units, because she's going to have, 2 things. 1, she's going to have, if she carries the phylactery, direwolves are a summonable unit. Okay. Yep. Yes, absolutely. CW Craner said you're phylactery carrier, everyone, and I agree. Now, I kind of brushed past her bodyguard role, but it is
Right.
worth revisiting it for just a moment. On a 3-up, that wound or mortal wound is allocated to one of those friendly units instead of this unit. End of sentence.
Yep.
It is lacking the and
May
that wound
not.
cannot be negated. May not be negated.
Correct.
Meaning that if
well,
she's carrying the phylactery and making all her dire wolves have a 5-up save, then she's passing off all her wounds to the dire wolves on a 3-up, and then they're
On
negating them
threes.
on a 5-up.
On 5. Right. Right.
Yep.
And she's the perfect wound number so that she benefits from the -1 to be hit from shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yep,
get
she still
both
gets
lookouts her. Yep, you get lookout and you can bonus the ward save. Like it's dogs all the way down, right? And then she can take the command trait to give everybody 3 inches of extra movement as well.
Yep. So, pretty good. I think Belladonna is absolute rock star at 170 points. Like, I'm in for Grandma Sengir over here.
Yep.
I'm shipping it.
She's doing all the work.
Yep. Gorslav. So everybody's previous favorite 75-point ridiculous hero, now 120. So he can bodyguard off to zombies on a 2-up. And then once per turn at the end of your movement phase, he can shovel back to life a zombie unit, right? But it's still half the models. But the trick with him is, there's a couple of little nuances to him. He's doing it instead of, is Belladonna a Virkos auto-include? Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Well,
100%.
not only that, can we go back to how good Killing Moon is?
It is. That's what I said. It's a 6's double tap spell. It's good.
Yeah, but it's a 24-inch range.
Yeah, it's
huge.
Yes, it's good. It's good.
It's like she casts that, it's the battlefield. Like,
yes.
I mean, because if she's in the middle, that's a 48-inch spread.
Yes, and it's hitting everybody in that space with a double tap spell.
Yes.
It's good. It's absolutely great. Yeah, it's a double tap spell.
Yeah.
It's just a huge bubble double tap spell, which makes it very strong. Yeah. No, you're right. Like, yeah, it's amazing. Like, she's great. Okay, I'm just trying to keep us moving. But
yeah,
yes.
I know you are. Yep.
The trick with Gorslav is there's 2 nuances to this. Okay? So you still only get half the unit back. But, and it's only in your movement phase he can do this. You can't, unlike the other ones which happen in both movement phases.
Yep, and it's only zombies.
Correct, it's only zombies. But the tricks are, in addition to the yours, he does have the 9 inches away from enemy units when he shovels them back up.
Yeah.
So remember, the regular Endless Legions, they could be set up 3 inches away from enemies. This guy, it's 9. Right? And other than that, he still has the same. But you don't roll the die. He just does it. It's not on a 4-up. He just does it. Or a 3-up. He just does it. Sorry. Because it'd be a 3-up in your turn. Okay.
But they can run it. They can charge, though, right?
Yes. When he shovels them back, that is correct. They may still pile in and charge. Yes. Yes. That is
so
correct.
Basically, with him, they get old setup rules.
Yes. He's not only digging up the zombies, he's digging up the last book's rules. So there you go. Torgilius the Chamberlain. Boy, oh boy. I hate this fig. I really do. Like, I just think it's an ugly fig. Okay. I'm pretty sure I just gave it to somebody.
Dear God, he's so good.
He's way different now. Okay. So he has his little bird and attacks that don't matter. Let's just start there. Like, they don't matter. He's a single cast wizard for 125 points. But his ability is just friendly Virkos summonable units have a ward of 5 up while they're wholly within 12 inches of him. Oh.
So, and he could carry the item to make him.
Yeah, so let's go back. Boop, 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 boop,
boop,
boop, boop. So, let us now return to the Ulfencarni phylactery. Okay, in Virkos. Add 1 to ward rolls for friendly Virkos summonable units for the purposes of the Deathless Minions battle trait while they're wholly within 9 inches of the bear.
Oh.
It is not a stack. Correct. They thought of that, Tom. That's why you're giving it to Belladama, not to this guy.
So that you have 2 bubbles of 5 up.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still good, and more importantly, he's a death mage, and so he can bring the -1 to wound and -1 damage spell.
Yep.
Because you're going to need a death mage on the table.
Yep.
That's not a necromancer.
I mean, he is going to lose the. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to the necro because obviously then you're not Van Helsing if you've got him, but still,
right.
It's a potent ability. Handing out a second bubble of effectively 5-up ward is pretty good. So, okay, Virkos Bloodborne. Nope.
If only this didn't have the Virkos keyword.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Because as vampires, like they could pick up other subfaction keywords and trigger, like so you could get vampires that aren't blood knights.
Sure.
And aren't heroes. Like you could play in that space, but you can't because they're Virkos, it locks them in.
Yeah, Keith, it doesn't work because the specific add 1 from the phylactery is saying it modifies their ward for the purposes of deathless minions. It's referencing a specific thing at bonuses. His 5-up ward on the Chamberlain is not.
It's not death.
It's not
deathless minions.
Look, I could be wrong on these guys, and what could be great about them is the fact they do have a pregame move at a very cheap points cost. Like they're 90 points for 9 wounds, and they have this 10-inch pregame move, which is wild board coverage. Okay, but I just don't buy it. Like I'm not buying that that's worth it because that's all they do.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Sexy Bear is over here saying these guys are great. Maybe he's right. I don't think so.
I mean, they are going to throw 9 attacks?
Yeah, they make 9 attacks on 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. Like they're okay fighters. It's fine. They're okay.
Like you can't let a pack of 3 of them go unmolested. Like you have to clean them off the table because they're going to hit and kill something or damage it severely. Because they're going to come in on 2s and 3s. -1, 2 damage each.
Maybe. I don't know that you're like maybe how you're fighting. It's I'm not sure they're getting the all-out attack, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like again, the question with these guys revolves around, is it worth it to have these 3 models on relatively small bases making a 10-inch pregame move? Is that enough?
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you don't have any other way to get.
I don't rate their damage. They die to a stiff breeze. I just don't think you're going to see them. Honest answer.
Is there
hold on. Can I make a comment? They're actually not terrible in Virkos because you're going to pack attack. So they can come along as your +1. So like when you're picking attackers on an attack.
Sure.
Like
are they your top priority? Is that your first hero goes? These are the guys you're picking next?
If you don't, they may not get to swing. That's what I'm saying.
Which I don't like being in a bad place.
Which my point is simply that they're going to be able to get into tight spots with only being 3 models, and you can basically pile them in with a hero. Like it gives you another activation to maximize your activations. So sure. I don't hate it.
I think counting on these guys for anything, like to me, this says pay 90 points, make a 10-inch pregame move with 3 models.
Yep.
End.
I agree.
End.
No, and then for me is if they're in position, they're not a terrible +1 on a charge.
My answer is who cares? I have so many more things I care about in this army fighting and being concerned with. This is not a summonable unit. It's taking away from my summonable units points. It's taking away from my hero points. Like, there are priorities in this army I'm trying to get on the table. These guys ain't it. Right? Yeah. So, like, if they happen to do some damage or all that, great. I'm sure we can all construct the scenario. Okay? But I am not banking on them for a thing. Not a thing. Okay, other than, is it worth it to have 3 models float out with a 10-inch pregame move? That's it.
Yeah.
And my answer is no, it's not worth it.
Tom, I think you've talked about this in the past. You would have liked to, maybe Vinci did as well, would have liked to have seen a different design direction with these guys. And it still feels to me like, yeah, they're really missing. It's such a fascinating unit. I've never liked the design of this unit. I think there's so many other positive directions you could take to make this a really fascinating unit. I don't know if it's easy to get access to these models right now, but
I don't
anyway,
think that's
it's a cool concept.
like
The idea of a little skirmishy elite vampire unit, that's amazing. But this is, I don't know, it's weird execution on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy it. Like we're gonna see the unit later that I would potentially buy in this position. I just don't buy these guys.
sure.
Okay, watch Captain Halgrim. He's a fun guy. He's a fun little death rattle Virkos hero. He's summonable, which is cool. So you can pop him back up if he dies. He'll pop back up with 2 wounds, but he will come back. And he can use the at the double command up to 3 times to friendly Virkos death rattle units the same phase. If it does so, no command points are spent the second and third time he does it. He's under 10 points, which is like 10 points too expensive for what he is.
Yeah.
He's a cute little dude. It's fun to be summonable. I guess I'm paying the extra 10 points for the summonable thing. So, okay. Yeah, besides being a Cursed City alum, what about Halgrim says Virkos? Yeah, I agree. It's like he just got inducted in because he died in Cursed City. That's it.
Well, he's a named like they only do one. Well, no, I guess that's not true. Like he's the primary faction, right?
Yeah, sure. Yes, he was part of Cursed City. Yeah. Vargskier, nope. Skip. I cannot picture the army I'd put this thing in. It's cool that it's got an 18-inch charge. Like, I love its charge, and it's got the hunger. But, okay. It's not a hero. It's not a monster. It's not summonable. It is a vampire, I guess, which is cool. But, like...
Which doesn't do anything in the faction, yeah.
Right. Like, this guy continues to be the replacement for the Var guy, or Var... whatever. Vargulf? Yeah, for the Vargulf in FEC, so he can continue to live out his existence over there. Kasagi Night Guard, they are Deadwalkers, as you mentioned at the top of the show. In other words, zombies. So it is funny that you can grow this unit beyond its starting size of 2. So
I don't hate it, and he gets +1 attacks with near Chattakar. I mean, they're not good attacks, but they're fine. Like, they're 5-up wards, so that's 8 wounds on a 5-up ward, and you're going to add a D3 models every one of your hero phases. Like, if you want to.
If these don't get FAQ'd out, which again, I don't think they should, but they might. Who knows?
Yeah.
I actually think this would be a pretty fun one to add models to. If they get FAQ'd out, they're totally worthless.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
it.
They don't have a use otherwise. I agree with that.
Yes.
Because, like, their 5-up ward doesn't actually stack with anything else in the faction.
Sure.
Like, for all the Viracos 5-ups, like, you know how we talked about, like, having Belladama and having the Tortuga as the second pillar? Like, they don't actually fit in any of those bubbles because they don't benefit from any of them.
Right. Yep. Okay. Lady Annika? I don't know. Anyways, she's got the hungered. She has a ward of 4 up. She can go into reserve, and she can come out. She can pop out places, so it's fine. And her Kiss of the Blade Proboscian? I don't know. I think it's a little stinging blade. At the end of any phase, if any wounds caused by attacks made with this unit's blade proboscian, I don't know, in that phase were allocated to an enemy hero or monster, and that enemy unit has not been destroyed, worsen the save characteristic of that unit by 1 to a minimum of 6+ for the rest of the battle. Cute. Skip. Kritza. Kritza is actually somewhat interesting to me at 120 points because he's summonable. So he can pop back. He also has the Scurrying Retreat, which is basically he has the Skaven ability that when you pick him to fight, he can. Yeah, exactly. Lady, not gonna work here anymore. Yeah, exactly. Crits is fun because he can scurry away, And in the current season, he's not protected, right? Because he's a unique hero, but he can be rather hard to actually like chase down. And it's be like, I can't imagine somebody wasting shooting on this guy.
Well, and he shuts off artifacts on a 3+2.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he does that like at the start of the combat phase, which is fun because he can sort of do that and then leave, right?
Yep.
And then if he dies, if he does end up getting caught or shot or dies, he can come back at half life and then hopefully go kill something and with the hunger heal himself back up because he is summonable. Yep. I don't hate Kritza. Like the fact that he has summonable and hunger is a nice combination. So he pops back up wounded but can still heal himself. I often find value in little unusual heroes that are just kind of hard to bring down and always stick around, especially in an army where you want to have heroes around to increase your optionality of where they're like more pylons are needed, you know, like, okay, great. Like, you know, keep the pylons up, you know?
Yeah. He always like Scar Blood Wrath. I think Eternus, especially the Eternus point drop. Like pieces like that are always great in my mind.
Yeah.
Just the various options you can use.
Yeah, something that just sticks around, right? It tends to be pretty useful. So yeah. I'm actually kind of a Kritza stan. I think I'm supporting this dude. I don't know for sure he'd make it in every list, but I could write a list with him in there and be happy with it. So, but yes, I agree. My Skaven bias is showing. He's also a rat guy, so you know. All right, Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. So let's say you're playing anything. And you also want a hammer. Well, here he is at only 440 points, 30 points cheaper than the unique guy.
Still a good answer.
He's so strong. This dude can still be on 3s and 2s, neg 3 rend, 3 damage. He still has the hunger. He's still a single cast wizard. He still has terror. And his spell is like okay at best. But he is you know, not.
He forces a response.
He is not a unique hero, and this guy can take some absolute back-breaking stuff in the various subfactions. He is incredibly strong in Legion of Blood. He is incredibly strong in Castellai. He's incredibly strong in basically anywhere, I guess is what I'd say. Yeah, this dude's a house and a half. Again, he's fast. He's tough. He's, you know, he is not a mega boss on Maw Crusher. Let's be realistic here, right? But he does do a lot of damage. His weak spot is certainly the number of attacks with his lance at only 3 attacks base. But he can hit hard. Like this dude can absolutely be a hitter.
Yep.
I could see Lurk with 2 of these things and like Neferata and I don't know what's that faction, but like, you know, all these artifacts and Neferata's spell, right? Like we talked about something that gives you ignoring rend. So I think it was an artifact, Legion of Blood, maybe. Yeah.
Well, and being near Neferata is going to be -1 to wound too.
-1 to wound. Yeah. Neferata's Legion of Blood.
Be hit.
Yeah, I think it was
-1 to be hit.
-1 to be hit.
Oh, -1 to hit. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I could potentially see a couple of these things even because they're great.
Sure,
it feels like you've got enough to go around in terms of like buffs for them.
Oh, sure. Like, I mean, you get him in Legion of Blood. That's why I said I really think he's super strong in Legion of Blood, especially with Nephi, which is a significant points enhancement. But again, you can kind of like, there are your 2 big heroes. Maybe you got 2-foot heroes, and then the rest is just all cheap dudes, cheap bodies. But he's, you know, yes, he can be in her bubble of neg 1 to be hit. He can also benefit from Dark Mist. Right, where he's on a 3-up base save, and now he can't suffer penalties to save anymore. And then this dude, if they don't have like spam mortal wounds, he's just not dying, basically, because between the hunger and 2-up unrendable save, I literally don't know what would remove this piece if it's not mortal wound spam. Right, like there's no normal attacks that would lift this guy. It just doesn't exist. All right, so you know, I think that I think he's a versatile piece. He can be a strong pinner. He can be an unbelievably good anvil. He can be a really good hammer. Yeah, I mean, the Velocita is strong. I don't know what to say. I think he'll show up in most lists.
Yeah.
That's and used in very different ways, which is good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I'm generally excited where he's at. Like I said, TBD on the hunger mechanic. Just I need to get a better feel for that. Just kind of because that's one of the mechanics. We talk about there. Some of the as they always do. They have a mechanic and then they go. Sometimes they go overboard on that mechanic and it's everywhere.
Sure.
Right. So we'll see if that turns out to be the case here. But yeah, this guy was he was lame. I thought in the last book. I don't know. That's Kurt's, a hot take, but I was always underwhelmed by this guy previously. As opposed to like Vordry, who was amazing consistently,
Sure.
Manfred, and but he's there now, which is awesome.
I love how we've always talked about how healing in the combat phase is like the best time because